in on the show. Intermittently, in hour number 2, we'll talk about Eastern Washington, who's coming to Bozeman to take on Montana State, and we'll talk about Idaho, who's coming to Missoula to take on the University of Montana. So that's all coming up here. Want to stream the show? You always can. 1029ESPN.com. Can also always use the ESPN MT app. Can also always use Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. And all guests will join us via the Elevated Tax and Accounting phone line. Here's what went down last week in high school football. First of all, my weekly PSA. There were several Thursday games last week. That means there's not enough officials. That's point blank period. What's going on here? I think that these high school football players work hard. I don't think they should have to play short weeks, even if it's just a day short. I think that's a disservice to the spirit of competition. I think it's not that safe. And I also think that young men out there deserve to have some Friday night lights in their lives. You only get a chance to do this, I don't know, a couple times. Couple dozen times if you're really, really good and you're on varsity for 3 or 4 years, but most guys only like 25 times do you get to play a high school football game on a Friday night. So I just hope that we could get to the point where we have enough officials. I know it's not the officials' fault. It's everybody that's doing this that are going above and beyond. We just need to have more officials in the pool so we don't have to have these Thursday games. But either way, we highlighted the Thursday games on Friday's show, so you already know Missoula Big Sky moved to 4-0 with a 41-7 win over Butte. We'll hear from Matt Johnson, the head coach of the Eagles, a little later on this week. You probably already remember Billings, Skyview, and Belgrade played last Thursday as well. Skyview won 24-21. They had to hold on for that one. That's a good win for the Falcons. But here's what also went down on Friday night that really caught my eye. Number one, what a stunner. Just because I thought that Laurel would at least be able to muster, I did think I thought they would score, right? I thought they would, 35-0 is what Billings Central won. That's a pretty big beatdown for a game between the number 1 and number 2 teams in the state. To be fair, Laurel did not have their starting quarterback, Crew Hunter. He injured his knee in Laurel's second game of the season against Sydney. That's according to the Billings Gazette. Travis Rao, who's the Laurel head coach, he said that Hunter is week to week. So maybe that gives the locomotives the boost they need if this matchup rolls around again. But this time, not so fast. And Billings Central absolutely rolled. They're 4-0 this year. They're on a 16-game winning streak dating back to last season. And they absolutely look like the team to beat here in Class A. I mentioned that Manhattan game. We'll hear from Wes Kraft, the head coach of the Manhattan Tigers, here in just about 10 minutes. But his team had a nice win, spurred on by a nice play late. Tyson Pavlik found Sam Stewart for a go-ahead touchdown. Coach Kraut will tell us more about that on the 4th and goal with about 9 minutes to play there. And that was the go-ahead, which turned into the game-winning touchdown as Manhattan won 28-20. That was number 2 versus number 3 this week. That's probably the only real standout score from Class B of any real consequence. All the other ranked teams played non-ranked teams and basically just rolled through. Malta remains number 1. They remain undefeated. They are the defending champs. They won 46-14 over Wolf Point. And probably the other one worth noting is just Missoula Loyola. They're not ranked, but they got their first win. It's just weird to see a Loyola team that's been so competitive so consistently for so many years start 0-3, but they got their first win in pretty convincing fashion, 43-0 over Ronan. When it came to Class C 8-man, there was really no crossover games between ranked teams except for Scobie versus Ekalaka. Scobie won 42-38, so that's number 1 versus number 7. So Scobie's going to stay atop the polls. Class C 6-man, nothing in terms of crossover other than Lincoln beating up on Power Dutton Brady 54-38. So those are your ranked crossovers. But in terms of the rest of the games that really caught my eye, first of all, you got to start with Kalispell Glacier. Just absolutely lambasted Helena Capital, 49-0 at halftime. Crazy to think about how big of a beatdown that is. They did it in all 3 phases. Grady Bennett, head coach of the Wolfpack, will join us here just a little while, so he can tell us a little bit more about all of that. And we'll highlight some of those young men individually in our Class AA Player of the Week, courtesy of Vertical Rays. But that one certainly was a stunner. I know Capital's a bit down, but they still do have several D1 guys. And so to be down 49-0 and lose 56-6, that's pretty eye-opening. That's a pretty good statement if you are Kalispell Glacier. Bozeman Gallatin kept on rolling. They have a variety of offensive weapons that are getting involved, including Carter Dahlke. That was to be expected. He's a guy that can hurt you in a lot of ways. He's primarily a receiver and a defensive back, but he's also one of the best returners in the state. And he scored in a lot of different fashions in Gallatin's 34-7 win over Great Falls CMR. Now that Sam Litson settled in at quarterback for Gallatin, I do think that they're going to be a pretty tough team to reckon with. Obviously, they're going to be on a collision course with Billings West. I think those two teams are the cut and dry best teams in the East. And we'll see a couple weeks down the road when those two teams meet. But pretty good start so far from Bozeman Gallatin. The question was, who's going to be their quarterback after Grant Vegan graduated? And the answer's been pretty solid in Sam Litson. He's off to a great start there. And Gallatin's scoring a ton of points, and they're also playing some good defense, too. So they are, in my mind, absolutely affirmed as the number 2 team in the state and probably right now the number 1 team in the East. But Billings West certainly will have something to say about that. West beat Billings Senior 35-0 in a crosstown, and so that's now 3 in a row for the Golden Bears. West lost their opener to Glacier in a slugfest, but they've done nothing but win since then, so they seem to be back on the right track as well. In Missoula, you saw a crosstown between Sentinel and Hellgate, and the Knights fought hard, certainly, but Sentinel kept on playing lights-out defense, and the Spartans remained unbeaten. So they're 3-0. They're number 5 this week. They're a game short because of that lightning delay where they had to it got called off against Belgrade. So I don't know if that's going to impact them down the road, but if you keep on winning, you're going to put yourself in a pretty good spot. Certainly some tough matchups await Sentinel. They still have to play Glacier. They still have to play Big Sky, but it's a good start right now for Dane Oliver's crew, and a nice crosstown win where they pulled away late from the Hellgate Knights. And then the last AA game that really caught my eye, because there was so much offense, yet 120 total points as Bozeman High just destroyed Great Falls 70-50. It has to be at least close to a record. I got to look this up. I got to find a more accurate score or record book. Excuse me. I looked this up on the MHSA, but there wasn't really point total, game total records. So there's got to be one out there. But 70-50 is a crazy final score, and I think that's a pretty good win for Bozeman. Bozeman and Great Falls both kind of remain a mystery to me. I don't know if they're middle or trending towards the bottom half of the Eastern AA. I think one of the two of those teams, though, will be one of the lower seeded playoff teams out of the East. So I think they got to get better, though. Both of them do. But maybe that's a little bit of a separation point there for Bozeman. Maybe they're differentiating themselves and saying, okay, we are ahead of probably Senior. You beat Great Falls by 3 touchdowns, so probably Great Falls. Definitely Skyview, definitely Belgrade. Are they a notch better than CMR? I mean, can Bozeman be the third team out of the East, basically, is the narrative right now at just about the midpoint of the regular season. I think Gallatin and West are battling out for those top 2. Can Bozeman be number 3? I wouldn't put it past Levi Westy. It's certainly a little bit of a turnover year there for Bozeman High, but I think that's a win that could give them some momentum against the Bison. So lots to be determined still, but it's certainly interesting to see the way we're starting to get a little bit more clarity. Like I'm pretty sure that, well, I know the Glacier is the best team in the West. I'm pretty sure Big Sky is right there. Sentinel could also be right there too, though. They're going to have to figure out a way to keep winning. And then I think Helena High is in the top of that next tier probably, but a bunch of those other teams could all be in the mix. And out east, I think it's Gallatin and West, followed by probably Bozeman. So it'll be fun to see how this all sorts itself out and shakes itself out. So I was down ESPN Radio. Let's go back to the Class B. I thought the top result was a little Cross Valley matchup. Three Forks and Manhattan are only about 16 miles apart. I caught up with Manhattan's head coach earlier this week. Well, time for our Prep Extra Coach's Corner. We check in now with the Class B ranks. Manhattan coming off of a win in what was probably the game of the week in Class B this last week. They beat their sort of Cross Valley rival in Three Forks. That was number 2 versus number 3 in this last week's poll. We're joined now by the head coach of the Manhattan Tigers, Wes Crott. Coach, thanks for being here. How you doing?
Yeah, good. Appreciate you having me on.
First of all, tell us about just sort of the early season here for your team, because obviously had a great year last year, but you come up just short against Malta in the state championship. So what was sort of the motivation like throughout the offseason, and what have you thought of your start so far?
Yeah, we graduated a lot of kids last year. We had a lot of positions to fill, especially some specific positions: quarterback, running back, tight end, some linemen. And so, we knew we had to get into the off season and put a lot of work in and start preparing the next crew to be ready to get going and rolling.
Did you sort of see some lingering impacts, though, of that last crew and the way they went about things influencing the guys that are sort of filling those spots now?
Oh, for sure. We have a good culture at Manhattan. These kids, they're in the weight room all summer long. We're doing open fields in the summer. So they know it's expected of them this in the summer if they want to come in and play and compete. And we have a bunch of kids in the off season all competing against each other and making each other better to be ready to go when the season starts.
Where do you think that culture comes from? Obviously, you guys implementing it is a huge part of it, I'm sure. But Manhattan's been very good in a lot of different sports for a really long time. So where do you think sort of that entrenched desire of the community comes from when it comes to high school sports there?
Yeah, I think it's just, the community aspect, the culture around sports and also these kids like wanting to dive in and focus on that. I was a basketball coach for a while and an assistant football running the offense, and then just switched over to just football these last 3 years. And, it's a school. Our cross country team's really good, year in and year out. And so, these kids, you can see it all summer long. Kids are in the gym, they're out on the football field, they're out running, and they just love the sports aspect of it. And our community loves surrounding them and supporting them as well.
It's a great sports town. I love the little sports towns in Montana, man. Some of the Class A and B towns, and even the C towns are awesome. When you get every kid wanting to be a part of something, I think I think it's contagious.
Yeah, and that's one of the key was smaller schools. I was at Bridger for a little bit before I came to Manhattan, and trying in a small school like Class C or Class B, getting all the kids out for sports.
Right.
It's important because the more numbers you have, that gives you a little bit more depth, and you need those numbers to compete and even run a scout team, and so when you have high numbers, it helps you with the success of your team.
Wes Crott joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, as well as SWX Montana Television and the ESPN MT app. He's the head football coach for Manhattan. Tigers coming off a 28-20 win over Three Forks this last week. The numbers part is fascinating, too. I remember when I was working at the Missoulian back in the day, when Drummond had it really rolling, Jim Oberweiser had every single guy in that school out for football. Every single kid that went to every single boy in that high school. There's only 40 of them, but they all played football, and that's how you build something really special too. So how's your guys' numbers this year?
We're good. We actually have 54 kids out.
It's awesome.
And so our numbers are big. I mean, a lot of our kids were really young this year. We only have about 8 seniors. And really only 2 coming back that even got experience for us last year. But our freshman class is really big, so we have over 23 freshmen out this year. And so we're excited about that group coming in and being excited to get going. And so, 55 is the highest number we've had in a long time.
Well, very good. Well, take us through the game against Three Forks. Then I was following it on Twitter and checking in on the stream, and it seemed like it was a back and forth, just a great high school football game. But you guys had the 4th and goal where you scored the go-ahead touchdown with about 10 minutes to go. So just take me through that play, and then how were you guys able to then pull away and seal the win after that?
Yeah, so we had one of our better receivers went down with a ankle sprain, Matthew Fenno, and so we were struggling a little bit there in the second half, and we're not sure he's going to try to make his way back this week. with that injury. And so he's kind of 50-50 on if he's playing or not. And so we had to find someone else to go to. And, we had worked all summer with Sam Stewart. He's 6'6", big basketball guy. And give him a shot and boxing out in the end zone and letting him go up for it. And so we split everybody out and give him the one-on-one and rolled out and threw it up to him. And, kid did a good job fanning, did a good job of tipping it. And it, Sam just kind of followed it as he was on his way down and tipped it into himself and caught it. And then, we were able to get 2 point and take that 8-point lead and put the pressure back on them to go down and score.
Well, it's been a fun year in Class B to sort of see how the different teams are rising, and I mean it seems like it's been as deep and competitive as it's been. So, what have you thought of just Class B in general? You got a chance to see some really good teams so far. Anaconda's better. Florence is obviously a perennial power, and Three Forks is on the rise as well. So, what have you thought of just your schedule, but also just Class B in general so far?
Yeah, we have had a tough schedule, and it doesn't get any easier this week with Columbus. So. You see your usual teams, the Eurekas, the Glasgows, the Red Lodges, the Florences, those teams. Florence had some bad luck, their quarterback getting hurt, and so they've been kind of struggling through the injury bug as well. So if he can come back, they'll have a good chance to make a run there in the playoffs. And so, looking at Three Forks this year, I mean, they got Gannon Richmond over there, and he's honestly the best quarterback in Class B, in my opinion. I mean, just using his legs and his arm. I mean, they're the most high-powered offense. And so we knew going in that was our vocal point, seeing how that we could shut him down. You don't see a lot of 6'4", 230 quarterbacks that got the speed and arm strength that he has. And so, they're going to be very competitive in any game with having him at the helm. And so, I felt like we did a good job of scheming him, and our guys stepped up. Tyson Pavlik did a great job at quarterback for us in the game. And so, we ended up coming out and pulling some scheme on them and being able to come out to win.
Been hearing a lot about Richmond. What do you think of just his ceiling? It seems like he's got a lot of potential.
Yeah, I mean, you don't like I said, Class B, you don't see a lot of 6'4", 230. But I mean, even his speed, he broke out on a 50-yard run. It was like as soon as he hit the corner, it was Braden Zickman. He's a 100-meter dash guy. And he barely caught him. So you could tell that, when he gets the corner and he gets an edge, like he's going and he's gone. And so having that run and that throwing threat just makes it really tough because they run a lot of empty and, he's basically the running back and their quarterback, so they bring another guy out of the box to add another receiver with it, but then they also can use him to run. And so not a lot of teams have that multi-dimension, and it all comes from your quarterback. And the other thing is just being able to extend plays. I mean, we pretty much had them. We knew what they were going to run on us. We had spent 2 weeks on it. So, he just made a lot of plays out of the box, just making things happen, scramble rules. And there's nothing you can coach against that.
Just given the proximity, the closeness between Manhattan and Three Forks, I mean, that's probably a rivalry game for you guys, right? So what was this reaction of the kids winning and in such a thriller?
Oh man, they were jacked. You don't have to do much to pump the kids up to get ready for Three Forks.
Awesome.
It's been a rivalry, whether it's football, basketball, across the board ever since. And so, the kids know each other. It was a good game, good sportsmanship game. Both teams competed hard and had a lot of respect for each other. And, Connor Sullivan does a great job over there. And, we're good friends. And so we just appreciate the good game and congratulate each other after the game and then move on and see if we can help each other down the road.
Well, as you mentioned, no rest for the weary. You got Columbus on the docket this week. So what do you think of your opponent on Friday?
Yeah, I mean, they're good. They're skill kids. They're quarterback. They like to spread out and throw the ball around. And so, it'll be a good test for us, especially with our DB crew and linebacker crew, and see if we can kind of shut them down. And it'll be interesting. I don't want to give too much away, but I think it's going to be a close, tight game and a big game for us to move in the direction of getting that 1 seed if we can come out with the win.
Is that something you're at least thinking about? Is your playoff positioning the spot you want to put yourself in come the postseason?
Oh, definitely. Getting home field advantage, especially in Class B, is huge in the playoffs. It's like you're not going on the road, you're not staying in a hotel the night before. kids get to sleep in their own beds. They get to play in their own field, all your timing, all your spot throws, things like that. And so if you can get that home field advantage, it definitely adds to it heading into the playoffs.
That takes on Columbus on Friday, and then they have Broadwater and Jefferson on the road these next couple weeks. So we'll certainly be keeping you up to date with what's going on around the Class B ranks, especially with the Tigers. But, Coach, we appreciate you for checking in with us. We'll touch base down the road, but thanks for being here today.
Yeah, perfect. Appreciate it as well. Thanks for having me.
Wes Crott, the head coach of the Manhattan Tigers, are off to a 4-0 start here to begin the 2025 football season. Our Prep Extra, probably presented by Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise, the elite online fundraising platform. You want the biggest checks delivered to your high school sports organization. Let Vertical Raise do the fundraising for you. Set up a fundraiser or get a consultation by visiting verticalraise406.com. Speaking of Vertical Raise, Peter Hamill from Vertical Raise in studio with us on the other side. Class AA Vertical Raise Player of the Week coming your way. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Attention Grizz hockey fans, single game tickets are now on sale at grizzhockey.com. Don't miss your chance to secure the best seats for every exciting home game. This year, we're taking the fan experience to the next level. From music and a live pregame show in the parking lot to a professional DJ and MC energizing the crowd inside the arena. Enjoy new intermission games in the best bar in Missoula, all while cheering on the most talented Grizz hockey team yet. Tickets are waiting. Head to grizzhockey.com today. Grizz Hockey, where the action begins.
Registration for the 2025 Zootown Challenge is now open. With more categories to choose from, like Double Grizz, Zootown Strong, Team 5K, Novice 5K, an All Abilities race, and a kids race. The Zootown Challenge is an inclusive race with so many options for every level of athlete. Visit ZootownChallenge.com for more information and to register. Challenge yourself for a cause. Net proceeds go to Opportunity Resources. Visit ZootownChallenge.com to learn more.
The world's great steakhouses agree. Prime grade beef is hands down best. And first choice at this great steak state's Montana Clubs. Announcing with abundant Montana Club pride, the new Big Sky Country's Great Steak Escape, starring the top 2 to 3% of all beef. These 12 and 16 ounce USDA prime grade ribeye steaks, cut exclusively for the Montana Club and are simply the best of the best. Near perfect marbling, the ultimate in flavor and tenderness, butter brushed and irresistibly seasoned to literally melt in your mouth. Available now, exclusively at truly a value you're sure to appreciate. The Great Steak Escape is just waiting for you and the ones you love at your Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Blackfoot Communications has been helping Montanans make strong connections for more than 70 years. With its headquarters in Missoula, Blackfoot has been providing steady, high-quality jobs to Western Montanans for decades. As your caring neighbor, Blackfoot shows their support by giving back to local organizations, causes, and schools in ways that truly matter. Blackfoot's mission is to connect people, businesses, and communities. Connect more with Blackfoot Communications. To find out more about how Blackfoot can improve your connection to our community, visit blackfoot.com.
Robert Cray defines underrated. You got to remember, this guy, he never was quite of the caliber of some of the other guys that he toured with, but they're not going to let you tour with them unless you also have some serious chops. The Robert Cray Band and/or Robert Cray independently has traveled throughout his career with Eric Clapton, Stevie Ray Vaughan, and B.B. King. Pretty good.
Talking music, pop culture, occasionally sports, and who knows what else. Every weekday from 4 to 6 on Nuanez Now.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A few of the top-ranked high school football teams in Montana made statements last week. Hello, I am Coulter Nuanez. In Class A, Billings Central dismantled its third straight top 5 opponent, putting the rest of Montana on notice with a 35-0 win over number 2 Laurel in a rematch of last year's state championship game. On the second play of the game, Howie Martin threw a 60-yard touchdown pass to Grizz commit William Snell, and the Rams never looked back in earning their third straight win over a ranked opponent and posting their first shutout of the season. That's now 16 straight wins for the Rams, who also beat Laurel on the same field for last year's State A championship. In a rematch of the Class AA state championship, Kalispell Glacier ripped Helena Capital after losing the matchup last fall. The Wolfpack led 49-0 at halftime on the way to a 56-6 triumph to move to 4-0 and drop Capital to 1-3. In the game of the week in Class B, number 2 Manhattan scored on a 4th and goal with 10 minutes to play to earn a 28-20 win over number 3 Three Forks to remain unbeaten. Manhattan's now 4-0 this season. Number 1 Malta, the defending state champs, also remained unbeaten by drilling Wolf Point 46-14. And finally, Missoula Big Sky is off to a 4-0 start for the first time since 1994, thanks to a 41-7 win over Butte last Thursday. For more on prep football from around Montana, tune into Nuanez Now all week long. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Canyon River Golf Club of East Missoula.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you and take it slowly. Ready or not, here I come. You can't hide. Gonna find you and make you want me.
Now that I escape, sleep, walk awake. Those who correlate know the world ain't cake. Jail bars ain't golden gates. Those who fake, they break. When they meet their 400-pound mate, if I could rule the world, everyone would have a gun in the ghetto, of course.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. Are you surprised that was like the peak of all of that? When that album came out, I thought those guys were going to rule the world forever, for like a decade. And that was it. It was like they made that album, and then that was it.
Yeah, that was it. I mean Lauryn Hill did a few things.
Yeah, and her like solo album a couple years.
Didn't Wyclef like get in trouble doing some stuff?
Yeah, Wyclef got in trouble. He had good solo stuff too. All three of those. I mean, Pras had a good solo album. I mean, Lauryn Hill won a Grammy. The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is one of the great, hip hop solo female albums ever. But
I mean, that's one of my favorite songs of all time. That was my walk-up song for every final I took in law school. I'd put my headphones on and just jam out to that song right before we had to go.
I love it. Test. Yeah, it's an iconic album, certainly. Rolling Stone said that was the 134th greatest album out of their top 500 greatest albums of all time, all genres.
That's pretty good.
I mean, really good.
Yeah.
Anybody that's in the top 500, you know you made something fire. Peter Hamill in studio with us on behalf of Vertical Raise. Vertical Raise, the elite online fundraising platform. You want the biggest checks for your high school sports teams, visit Vertical Raise 406 to get in touch with this guy and have him help you raise you some money. All right, so first of all, you're a Mariners guy.
Huge Mariners guy.
Okay, so
long-suffering Mariners
where
guy.
Where are you at with this? If you grow up in Montana, like I did, and your parents aren't from a big city or anything like that, you kind of just pick your pro teams, And so you usually you pick a team probably when you're like, I don't know, between 8 and 12 years old, you pick a team. So I picked the Cleveland Indians as my favorite baseball team when I was 8. That was a combination of that Major League, the movies were like, famous and popular and funny. And the early to mid 90s Indians were awesome. Like they're really good. They went to the World Series in 95 and 97, and they're really fun to be on video games. Well, now the world's changed. It's been 30 years since I made that decision.
You can't switch.
I can't switch?
No.
Not even that I can't even become a Mariners fan?
No. You pick a team when you're a child, and then
you have to just sit there and suffer your whole life?
Bro, you open by saying I'm a Mariners
but here's
fan.
the thing, though. The Mariners, it's true. You've been suffering your whole life. That's true. No one could have ever predicted what would happen, though, like first of all, to baseball in general. I'm just lobbying in baseball. I'm reconciled. I'm a Vikings fan forever. That's just how it is. I never had an NBA team, so I just like the league. That's what I'm going to be. But baseball, without the salary cap, it's so much about the big markets.
Yeah, it is.
And Cleveland is half the size that it was 30 years ago because of just the economic factors that exist in the world now. And Cleveland is a small market now.
Listen, man, the type of people that decide they're going to switch their favorite team are not my type of people. So if you want me to keep coming on this show, you got to stick with the Indians.
Here's what's really great. My little brother, he picked the Lions as his favorite football team because of Barry Sanders.
Yeah.
And then he was the Lions in video games our whole lives growing up. And then a couple of years ago, he decided he was going to retire from the Lions. He said he was going to be a team free agent. He's just going to pick a team each year that he would follow.
And now he's suffering the consequences.
Yeah, look at how many regrets this guy has now after watching the Lions.
That's how it goes, man. And the Mariners are a good example of that. You stick with your team through deep and dark times, and then there will come a day. Look at me getting ahead of myself. I'm going to jinx the whole thing. But hopefully there will come a day when it comes around and it just makes everything that much sweeter because you went through the doldrums with them.
No doubt. No question about it. And I know you're here for us to talk some high school football, but the Mariners are... shall we say closing in on it? I mean,
magic number is 3.
They're 3 games
and they
up.
Got 3 against the Rockies.
3. They got 3 against one of the worst teams in baseball.
There's a chance that we're going to be all right. Being a Mariners fan, you learn not to say outrageous things. So I'll say there's a chance that it might work out.
Well, and you know, the long suffering. It's been the same narrative for like 24 years, basically, where the Mariners are most often in the mix. And it's mostly because of pitching and defense and not hitting. And it's mostly then falls apart in August and September. And they kind of just crash and burn. But lately, they've actually they've been better. They made the playoffs. And now here they are with a legitimate chance to win the West. And it's because they have pitching, defense, and a little bit
because they made some moves at the trade deadline.
They did. Like they were buyers instead of sellers.
This year at the trade deadline was the most excited I have ever been as a Mariners fan because they acted like they actually cared.
Right, and that they wanted to go out and win the division.
Yeah.
But it is fascinating the amount of heartbreak the Mariners had like during formative years of our lives. Peter and I are similar age. Like the mid-'90s to early 2000s.
They were filthy.
They were so sweet, and then the 2001 team won more games than anybody, and they didn't do anything in the playoffs. But I mean that team had so much heat. Like even people in Montana that had no care about any sort of baseball were getting into the Mariners fever. So we'll see. We'll see if the Mariners can close this thing out. But it's definitely been a fun season for them. And
I don't have the just pick a team thing because I agree. It's funny, Coeur d'Alene.
But I just pick the Mariners.
No, you can't. Coeur d'Alene is not that far from Missoula, but Coeur d'Alene feels much more northwest and kind of the queen city of the Northwest is Seattle, and so automatically you're a Seahawks and a Mariners fan.
Well, there is a lot of Mariners fans listening. I definitely know that for sure. One of our loyal listeners right now, he says I can definitely switch. So thanks, Kyle. I appreciate the.
I disagree. If you switch, man. Find another gym buddy.
All right. Let's check out some nominees for the Class AA Vertical Raise Player of the Week. Pretty much a chalk week, just in terms of like the teams that were ranked, and then the teams that were just like right outside the rankings. Basically, like they all won. The winners last week. There was no real upset. It was basically just across the board. The teams that were supposed to win. So maybe a little stratification. We're to like the midpoint. I think we kind of know, at least for the most part, who's good and who's not in AA right now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Glacier's obviously going to be really good. And Gallatin is going to be really good.
Yep.
And West, I think, is better than 3-1. I think West is a behemoth. And we'll see. But yeah, I agree with the stratification. It was kind of chalk this week. I think there were some really big team performances, but as far as individual performances, there's not a ton of stuff that really jumps off the page. Peyton Cicero threw 3 touchdowns for West in a beatdown of Senior. The Big Sky defense was really tough. Eli Kasberg threw 3 touchdowns. I'm kind of between either giving the player of the week either to the entire Glacier offense, who was up 49-0 over Capital, and a team that has had their number the last couple of years. I know they had that game circled on the calendar and they came out and performed. Or going with Caden Tennis over at Sentinel, who had 127 yards rushing and threw a 38-yard touchdown pass on a halfback pass in a crosstown win. I will let you choose your winner.
Well, only because I'm giving no spoiler alert here, because Grady Bennett is coming up here on the show live in about, 45 minutes or so. He's the head coach at Kalispell Glacier, and he told me that he's so happy with how they're performing because it's everything. It's not just the offense. They scored 3 defensive touchdowns in the last 2 weeks. They've also had 2 huge punt returns that set up short fields. So it's interesting because, like, Presley's stats, for example, Jackson Presley, the outstanding quarterback at Glacier, they're down from what they've been the last couple of years. And on Friday, they were not anything crazy. I mean, he had a 38-yard touchdown run. He threw a long touchdown, but that was about it. But it's because they had, these short fields because of the special teams. They had a scoop and score. They had a pick 6. So I think Glacier's whole team is probably actually the nominee. I think they're playing the most complete
and in my
football.
opinion, needing to rely on Jackson Presley less makes them better.
That's exactly what Grady said. And again, spoiler alert, he'll tell you himself, but he said this is the thing that's making him more of a college quarterback, is making the correct decisions, playing within himself, not trying to do too much, and the whole team sort of stepping up and supporting him. It's an interesting deal, too, because I think that Glacier, like, they've been just absolutely destroying people the first couple weeks of the season. They obviously had the close slugfest against West early, but they've just been rolling teams. I think these guys, a lot of the guys that are seniors, they were sophomores and juniors on the team that lost in the state championship 2 years in a row. They've had enough. Yeah. I think Grady's like, let's go finish this deal, right? Like, let's actually win the state championship. So I love it, but I think Crosstown is a special deal, and I think if you have a big game in Crosstown, I think that's big time. And I think that Caden Thenis had an outstanding stat line. He threw a touchdown too, right?
Yeah, threw a touchdown pass.
Yeah, so he rushed for 127 and also threw a touchdown. So, and I also think that Sentinel. Sentinel's always going to be solid with Dane Oliver's the head coach because he's just a great coach. He's going to figure out a way to get the most out of his guys. He's going to play to the strengths of the team. But I think that they're the most surprising is the wrong word. They're the most unlikely of the teams that are with a 0 in the loss column right now. There's only 4 of them. And the 2 of them in Missoula are probably the 2 bigger surprises. I don't think anybody's surprised by Glacier or Gallatin being in that spot. So I think Sentinel deserves some credit here.
Agree?
For what they've been able to do here early on.
So Caden is your guy?
I think we're going Caden Thenis, yeah.
All right. Caden Thenis, Vertical Race Player of the Week. We will get your trophy out to you. Congrats, bud.
Yeah, that's cool. And good job by Sentinel. I mean, man, they're getting it done on defense big time.
They are tough on defense. I texted Dane about it, and he didn't respond, which is typical. But, yeah, they are playing some solid defense.
Yeah. I mean, they had a shutout earlier against CMR. So, only 7 points against Hellgate. So, did you go to this game?
No.
Hellgate they were in the mix a little bit. Parker Link had a huge touchdown run early. Here's the deal. I'm not trying to lobby to be a coach of any sort, but if I was a Hellgate play caller, here's what I would do. I would line up one of those 2 studs at running back and just give them the ball.
Well, I think Evan had to move to tackle this week.
Oh, Evan Byron had to play tackle? Yeah. Okay, so that, which maybe is a premonition of things to come.
Well, maybe, but also I think that he's trying to put his guy, like, to your point, Quinn is trying to put his guys where he needs them
the most.
And they needed some protection up front, and so he just moved the beast down. Yeah,
it's the same old story for Hellgate. I actually think that this team has a little bit more of a fighting chance than a lot of the Hellgate teams of the recent past, but they just don't have enough manpower. They just need more dudes. Like they have like 5 or 6 dudes that are like as good as everybody's dudes, but they just don't have more than that. And I think that's the thing that's holding it back. How about the shootout between Bozeman and Great Falls? I was trying to look in the record book.
Yeah, was it 70 to 50?
70 to 50, man. Like that's got to be combined total up there at least for AA. Like we've seen some 6-man and 8-man scores like that, but not really in AA where you got 70 and 50.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen anything like that.
Yeah, it's pretty striking. So probably worth noting a couple big performances in that game too. Steele Harris is a guy that's going to be popping up here soon. He's only a junior. His brother Reed plays at Boston College now, but those guys are freak athletes, and Steele's having a great year. I mean, he's the next guy too that's going to get some of those FBS type schools coming to see him. He's already got offers from Montana State coming out of his sophomore year, which is pretty early for both of these coaching staffs, certainly. So he's a name to keep an eye on. I think he's a good player for sure. Pete Hamill in studio with us here on Nuanez Now ESPN Radio from Vertical Rays. What'd you think of your boy, the Hawaiian?
Oh yeah, I thought that it would be hard to disagree that was easily his best game as Grizzly.
He's player of the week in the league. So, I mean, he was a nominee for National Player of the Week.
Look, again, we're not lobbying to be coaches. I thought that they used him how he needs to be used.
Correct. Absolutely.
He's not a straight drop back guy.
Nope.
He's not a screen thrower. He's got a little bit of like run around and make plays. And I mean, he's not obviously Johnny Manziel, but a little bit of that backyard, let him run around.
Totally.
And make plays and make reads. And I felt like they finally used him in a way where he looked comfortable, and it was so nice to see.
Absolutely, so nice to see.
And that's the formula, right? Like, if you want to have a shot against the guys from Bozeman, that's how they've got to look. And I know that Indiana State was down as an opponent a little bit,
sure,
but I also felt that it was really good that they kind of had a get-right game, and they could prove to themselves that they could play like that.
Right, because that's the thing is you can't control who you play. You just have to take care of business, but you want to play well, and you don't always blow out the overmatched teams like that. But I mean, this was,
and for the first 9 minutes, it looked like it always looks against teams we think we're gonna thump.
Yeah.
I was like, oh god, here we go again. And then they opened it up a little bit, and I thought looked wonderful.
Well, that's the when the style that Bobby Hauck wants to play actually takes hold. That's what it looks like, where you get the big play by Gilman, and then you get a 3-and-out really fast, and then you have a systematic sort of ball control type drive where the quarterback is completing nice passes. Then they had the sweet design run for Ayat to score that touchdown. Now he's grooving a little bit, and then that's when you dial up the blitz, and Tuliaupupu comes off the edge, smashes the quarterback, scoop and score, and holy cow, like you said, it was a back and forth sort of game where, oh no, are the Grizz really going to let Indiana State hang around? And then boom, 28 straight points, it's 35-7, and half the stadium's not coming back after halftime. But that's quintessential Hauck when it works.
I hope it happens again, because I, full disclosure, have degrees from both Montana and Idaho, and I have a lot of friends and family coming over to the game this weekend, and I would love for them all to leave disappointed.
Yeah, how about that? Peter is an alum on both sides of this rivalry, with Idaho coming to town for the battle for the Little Brown Stein.
I root for the Vandals 364 days a year.
You played in one of these?
Yep. Played in 3 of them.
Yeah, because Idaho didn't start tapping out in the rivalry series until after you had graduated.
Played in 3 of them. Joe Glenn holding up the Little Brown Stein.
Yeah.
There may have been liquid poured in it after the game. I don't know. But I have won multiple Little Brown Steins.
Yeah, it's it's got to be one of the funniest rivalries, because this was a great rivalry for forever and ever. Pre-Big Sky days, all throughout the Big Sky days, both Montana and Idaho are charter members of the Big Sky, and they were in the same league from 1963 to 1995. Then they took a 4-year span off from playing the game because Idaho had moved up. But then they decided to reignite it, and I think Idaho was a little cocky about that, because they're like, oh, yeah, we'll play this 1AA team. And then they started losing until all of a sudden Montana won 7 in a row of these, including 4 of them in a row when it was FCS versus FBS. So then they basically tapped out and called it off in 2003.
Vandal fans that I know are stoked to be back in the Big Sky. And
right.
Look, I think the reality of it is that kids that go to Idaho, kids that go to Montana also consider going to the other one of those schools.
Sure, right,
and
right.
You have friends at those schools, and you would much rather be in important games that matter with schools that your friends go to than playing North Texas.
Totally,
right?
Man.
And
the Vandals' dreams all fell apart. This all fell apart when Boise State basically said, we're going to the Mountain West, and Idaho, you're not invited.
Yeah.
When the WAC was the WAC, and they were in the same league as Boise State for like that, it was only 3 or 4 years. That could have worked. But when they basically said, you're not allowed in the Mountain West, and by the way, the WAC is going bye-bye, and then they have to be independent, and then they have to play in the Sun Belt, and now you're going to Troy, and like Georgia, it's just the stupidest thing in the world. They had no fan continuity whatsoever, because who cares about Idaho playing Georgia Southern or whatever?
For sure. And unfortunately, I mean, I think the reality is that Moscow Pullman together probably aren't big enough to support one major university the way that it needs to be supported, and they have 2. And with Washington State having been in the Pac-12 for so long, the Vandals are always going to play second fiddle to that, and they struggled because of that. And I think part of them getting their footing back was getting back to regional rivalries that their alumni and their students actually care about. That was an important step for them.
No doubt. Well, So how do you think it's going to play out? Idaho's looked salty on defense the first month of the season here.
I don't know how it's going to play out.
Have you followed the Vandals much this year?
No, I haven't.
They got a sweet quarterback. Josh Woods, one of the best guys I've seen at the FCS level. Former Washington Gatorade Player of the Year.
I mean, they lost Coach X, so they got.
Coach
I'm
X,
a Coach
right?
X guy.
Totally, man. And Coach X's been making some noise down there at New Mexico. Yeah, beating UCLA was a big one for him for sure. Yeah. So it'll be a fun one on Saturday night. You going?
Absolutely.
Yeah, got to go. Night game. See, I always complain about night games. These kind of night games, though, I'm in for it. Rivalry, after dark, on national TV, I'm here for it.
You know, is the night game so like we have all these themed games like Strike the Stadium, Blackout, like all this stuff, right? But there is no theme for the Vandal game. Why? Is it because it's a night game? Like, I feel like
they're wearing the copper jerseys.
Oh, is that why? Well, then everybody should wear copper. I feel like of all the games,
I actually don't know that to be true. That's just been the thing that's been floating around.
Of all the games where you should do something cool with the fans, I feel, and maybe I'm biased because I also went to school there, but I feel that the Vandal game is at the top of that list.
For sure.
You want to pick a second rival in the Big Sky? After Montana State, it should be Idaho.
Definitely. I mean, you played for over 100 years worth of rivalry games. You have a trophy. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so do something cool. Like, we should have striped the stadium this game instead of for Indiana State.
Well, just more unsolicited advice from these two guys sitting here on ESPN Radio.
I have a funny Indiana State story, and I'll let you go. I was telling my wife that the most famous alum of Indiana State was Larry Bird, and she goes, I know Larry Bird. Basketball player. I was like, yeah, good job. She goes, he used to play for the Nuggets, because Rachel's from Denver and she gets excited about guys that play for the Nuggets. I said, no. She goes, yeah, tattooed guy, real tall, skinny, white guy. We used to do the bird flap thing. I was
this
like,
is amazing.
That's Birdman. That's Chris Anderson. Maybe as far an opposite from Larry Bird as you could possibly get.
Literally, Larry Bird's yang opposite to his
She was
yin.
so excited that she knew Larry Bird, but she did not. She knew the Birdman.
It's just too good. Good job, Rachel. That's awesome. You know the second most famous Indiana State alum is?
I don't.
John Wooden, the Wizard of Westwood.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
All right.
Thad Matta, Ohio State, longtime basketball coach. He's the third. That's about it.
That's all you got.
You got some baseball guys from there. Shoot, I don't know. Does Montana have anybody as famous as Larry Bird and John Wooden? I don't think so. No. I mean, so those are pretty good top two if you're a small school like Indiana State.
That's really good.
Pete Hamill in studio with us. We want to see how Vertical Rays can deliver the biggest checks to your high school sports teams. Visit Vertical Rays 406.com. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Coulter.
Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, Treasure State Stars on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here.
You got great.
Booking a tee time at Western Montana's premier public golf course has never been easier. You can book a tee time online anytime you want to play Canyon River Golf Club. And while you're at CanyonRiverGolfClub.com, you can check out all the other awesome stuff that Canyon River has to offer. Canyon River Golf Club is Western Montana's preeminent golf community, offering picturesque views, a challenging track in pristine condition, and second-to-none customer service. Visit CanyonRiverGolfClub.com today to book your tee time.
I had some health concerns, so I decided to have the Healthy MRI full body screening at Montana Imaging Center. This screening can detect cancer and other conditions and disorders early. I had the most amazing experience with Dr. McHugh and his staff. Any nerves I had going in melted away. I received my results within minutes of getting out of the machine. Dr. McHugh reviewed everything with me, and I left with peace of mind knowing that I'm okay. I even learned things that made me feel optimistic about my health. Visit MontanaImagingCenter.com to book your Healthy MRI today and feel great about tomorrow.
With the days getting shorter, you've probably noticed those longer nights creeping in. But don't you worry. Liberty Electric expert technicians are pros at creating, installing, or upgrading any kind of lighting you have in mind. Whether you want to boost security or simply give the outdoor space that extra charm, say goodbye to stumbling around in the dark this fall. Grab your phone and get ready to shed some light on your surroundings by giving Liberty Electric a call. Contact Liberty Electric at 541-WIRE. Remember, that's 541-9473.
You've got a debit card and phone app. Does a brick and mortar bank really matter? You bet your boots it does. Step inside any one of our Farmer State Bank's 10 unique locations. Open a new account, apply for a loan, rent a safety deposit box, or arrange for the trip of a lifetime. Personal service and attention to detail, along with all the mobile and electronic services you've come to rely on. Farmer State Bank, your Montana bank since 1907. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender.
Hey, it's Colter Nuanez from your favorite daily sports talk show, Nuanez Now, and I want to buy you a meal on your birthday at Paradise Falls. If it's your birthday, head on over to Paradise Falls at 3621 Brook Street, and I will buy you a birthday entree. All you have to do is go into the family-friendly Missoula favorite, present your ID, and the entree is on me. Birthday meals courtesy of Nuanez Now at Paradise Falls, a family-friendly restaurant serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner. If it's your birthday, head over to Paradise Falls, Missoula's coolest hotspot.
All Nations Health Center is proud to share that they have officially purchased the Women's Club in Missoula. This marks a significant moment in All Nations' story and history, giving the organization a permanent home and a place where they can continue to grow, care for their relatives, and deepen their commitment to community health and healing. Owning this space means stability, strength, and the opportunity to better serve patients in the Western Montana community in a way that reflects the values and mission of All Nations. For more information on everything All Nations has to offer, follow All Nations on social media or visit allnations.health.
1, 2, 3. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
Crazy to me how talented both Prince and Michael Jackson were. I know that that's a unfair comparison to both of them because they were both, first of all, they are distinctly different and they all both wanted to be distinctly different, but the musicality and the songwriting is so underrated. Everybody gives them all this credit for their vocals and their dancing, which are both, world class, but man, the musicality and the songwriting, unreal. I just been stuck in the 80s, funk pop mode ever since I saw the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil there in Vegas a couple weeks ago. Welcome back to Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. It is Treasure State Stars time, presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, a great place in Western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. Treasure State Star number 1, Kale Ayat. He was the Big Sky Conference Offensive Player of the Week for the first time in his career. He threw for 312 yards, 22 of 27, and threw a couple touchdowns. He also ran in a 14-yard touchdown. I think it's very clearly and almost indisputably the best game of his young Grizz career. Just his 9th career start, and the redshirt sophomore certainly made a ton of progress here the first month or so of this football season. Treasure State Star number 2, Ty Morrison, back-to-back for this young man. He is a senior kicker and punter for the Grizz. And he was the Big Sky Conference Special Teams Player of the Week this week. He went 7 of 7 on PATs, and he's now 16 of 16 this year. He also had 180 yards of punting, 45 yards per attempt. He dropped 2 inside the 20, and one time he dropped Indiana State inside the 4. And that was one of the things that set up the scoop and score by the defense when Solomon Tuliapupu, who was coming on here live in about half an hour, that was set up by more like 45 minutes for Solo. But either way, that was set up by a great punt by Morrison. He had a long punt of 49 yards, and he also had 8 kickoffs and 6 touchbacks. So back-to-back Players of the Week for Grizz senior kicker and punter Ty Morrison. Treasure State Star number 3, Paul Brady had a forced fumble, and he helped spearhead a defensive shutout for Montana State. I know that there's not a lot of fanfare coming out of that game because it was only 17-0 against Mercyhurst. I think there's a lot of factors that go into it. We don't have enough time to spend on it right now. But I thought he was great, and I think he still remains one of the best interior defensive linemen in the Big Sky out of Billings, Montana. Treasure State Star number 4, Tommy Running Rabbit. If you want my full thoughts on what this meant for him to score a touchdown on behalf of his people, on behalf of the Blackfeet Nation, on behalf of the town of Browning, all of that, I think, plays. But you can listen to that on yesterday's show. Again, we don't have enough time for me to get all those words in again. But this is a moment of cultural significance as much as a moment of personal success and athletic achievement for Tommy Running Rabbit, a redshirt freshman running back from Browning, Montana. Thursday star number 5, Ashlyn Dvorak. She's the goalkeeper for the Lady Grizz soccer team. They continued rolling. She pitched a shutout against Washington State. Grizz won 1-0, and Montana Soccer has now won 4 in a row. They finished the non-conference 6-2 and 6-2-1. And Dvorak, who's a Montana-made goalkeeper, she has been a stalwart there between the goalposts for the Grizz soccer team. Thursday star number 6, Bobby Gutzman. He had a 55-yard touchdown rumble on the ground. He also hauled in a 58-yard touchdown strike from Sam Litson, and he helped Bose McGalliton score 27 points in the second quarter to blow open the game and cruise to a 34-7 win over Great Falls CMR. Then a day later, I guess a couple days later, Bobby Gutzman committed to Montana State. So another in-state recruiting domino falls. Thursday star number 7, Howie Barton and William Snell. They've been a dynamite connection for Billings Central the last couple weeks. Central's won 3 straight games against teams ranked in the top 5. Howie Martin and William Snell have been the catalysts of that. They've hooked up for, I think, 5 touchdowns total. Snell has probably scored close to double-digit touchdowns in the last 3 games. That's a pretty unstoppable duo at the Class A level. Martin is like an option-style quarterback who can also throw it, and Snell's just a frisbee-catching dog. He's a really good outside receiver, and those two are 2 guys that are really sparking this awesome run. 16 in a row right now for the Rams, and the defending state champs, and they look like the favorites again in Class A. Thursday star number 8, Tyson Pavlik. He found Sam Stewart with 9:52 remaining on a 4th and goal for Manhattan, and that helped lift them to a 28-20 win over Three Forks. The Tigers are ranked number 2 last week. The Three Forks Wolves are ranked number 3, so that's a huge win for Manhattan. Thursday star number 9, Huntley Project sophomore Blake Raymaker. He had 4 touchdowns and 254 yards through the air. He also rushed for another touchdown. And Huntley Project, no trouble with Colstrip. They win 52-7. And then finally, Treasure State star number 10, Cade Dupois Pablo. He had a 75-yard kick return for a score. They also caught 2 TD passes, and that helped boost Arlee to a 54-42 win over Victor. Treasure State Stars, probably presented by Parkside Credit Union. Parkside Credit Union, a great place in western Montana to get a loan because Parkside Credit Union loves to say yes. Are you ready to trade Mountain Peaks for neon lights? Allegiant makes it easy to fly nonstop from Missoula to Las Vegas. Whether you're chasing the thrill of the Strip, catching a show, or just soaking up the sun, Allegiant gets you there fast and affordably. To book direct flights from Missoula or Bozeman to Sin City, visit today, Allegiant.com. Hour 1 of the books, hour 2 coming at you. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here. It's Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio.
Hello, I'm Angie Miller of Ryan Miller & Coburn Trial Attorneys. We are so happy to announce the addition of Abigail Coburn as a partner at our trusted, experienced law firm. Abigail brings toughness and a desire to help clients get the justice they deserve. If you need an attorney with an expertise in criminal defense, please call Ryan Miller & Coburn today.
You can call Ryan Miller & Coburn anytime, 542-2233, or visit rmcattorneys.com. Ryan Miller & Coburn, your Montana attorneys. Montana's largest sports cards and memorabilia show is back. On October 4th, come to the Hilton Garden Inn Ballroom to see one of the great spectacles in all memorabilia and sports card collecting. Admission is free and families are welcome. Zootown Sports Cards is happy to be hosting vendors from across the region. Whether you want to shop for memorabilia, sports cards, comic books, or Pokemon cards, you'll find premium collectors from all over with some of the most unique collectibles you'll find. Montana's largest cards and collectibles show returns October 4th from 10 until 5 at the Hilton Garden Inn on Reserve Street in Missoula.
You've been dreaming about a sandwich from Tagliari Deli all day. Why continue to torture yourself by waiting even longer? If you order online or call ahead, Tagliari Delicatessen will have the best sandwich in the Treasure State ready for you upon arrival. To place an order, visit TagliariDelicatessen.com or give Tagliari a call at 406-830-3049. Tagliari has been named Montana's best deli by the Food Network and best sandwich by People magazine. Why wait? Order Tagliari Deli ahead of time today.
Cooler nights and shorter days are here, but fire season is not over. Before playing or working outside, learn about your local fire restrictions by visiting mtfireinfo.org. If campfires are allowed, remember, drown, stir, and feel. If it's too hot to touch, it's too hot to leave. One less spark means one less wildfire. Brought to you by the Southwest Montana Fire Prevention Education Team. Check out mtfireinfo.org for more information. That's mtfireinfo.org.
A new adventure is on the horizon. Russell Motorsports is now part of the Young Power Sports family, bringing trusted service, access to a network of over 3,000 machines, and even more power to Missoula and western Montana. Visit us to find the best that Polaris, Husqvarna, Beta Motorcycles, Bad Boy Moors, and Articat have to offer. See our inventory online at youngpowersportsmissoula.com. Again, that's youngpowersportsmissoula.com. Young Power Sports Missoula. New name, bigger family, rooted in Missoula. Ride fast, live young.
Colter Nuanez from ESPN Montana here, and I can't tell you how much high-speed fiber internet from Blackfoot Communications has improved my life. It might sound simple, but having lightning-fast upload speeds lets me record video calls in 4K to use on our Nuanez Now radio and television show. It also allows us to produce content with world-class efficiency, and I can work from home even if my wife is streaming her HD TV. If you want to experience the fastest internet speeds possible, you need fiber internet from Blackfoot. Find out more about fiber in your area by visiting blackfoot.com.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula. ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A few of the top-ranked high school football teams in Montana made statements last week. Hello, I am Colter Nuanez. In Class A, Billings Central dismantled its third straight top-5 opponent, putting the rest of Montana on notice with a 35-0 win over number 2 Laurel in a rematch of last year's state championship game. On the second play of the game, Howie Martin threw a 60-yard touchdown pass to Grizz commit William Snell, and the Rams never looked back in earning their third straight win over a ranked opponent and posting their first shutout of the season. That's now 16 straight wins for the Rams, who also beat Laurel on the same field for last year's State A championship. In a rematch of the Class AA state championship, Kalispell Glacier ripped Helena Capital after losing the matchup last fall. The Wolfpack led 49-0 at halftime on the way to a 56-6 triumph to move to 4-0 and drop Capital to 1-3. In the game of the week in Class B, number 2 Manhattan scored on a 4th and goal with 10 minutes to play to earn a 28-20 win over number 3 Three Forks to remain unbeaten. Manhattan's now 4-0 this season. Number 1 Malta, the defending state champs, also remained unbeaten by drilling Wolf Point 46-14. And finally, Missoula Big Sky is off to a 4-0 start for the first time since 1994, thanks to a 41-7 win over Butte last Thursday. For more on prep football from around Montana, tune into Nuanez Now all week long. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Canyon River Golf Club of East Missoula.
It's Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Missoula. Watch the show statewide on SWX Montana Television.
God knows. I am
reincarnated. I was stargazing. Life goes on. I need her, my babies.
woke up looking for the broccoli. High key, keep a horn on me. That could my seat. IP ownership. The blueprint is by me. Mr. Get Off, I get off at my feet. Couldn't try me in a tri-state. Buddy pass, bet I give him splash till he hydrated. Bounce out, know he spook town, eyes dilated. I got the money and the power, both gyrating. I feel good, get the out my face. Look good, but she don't got no ties. I walked in, walked out with the size. Man, don't let me know what the price.
Welcome back to Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Are people still mad at Kendrick Lamar? I have no idea. That was like the thing after the Super Bowl. But I don't know. Then we decided to get mad about something else. And I think we've had like 350 targets of anger since then. So weird that we do that these days. Either way, welcome back to Nuanez Now. We're here for fun and games, right? We're here for sports and positive stories. And it's Super Prep Tuesday, so we're talking about, nothing but the best of the best when it comes to high school sports. And aren't high school sports the best? I mean, I love going to Grizz games and Cat games. And, in the rare occasions I've gotten to go cover NFL games, and I love watching pro sports. I love watching the NFL. In terms of actually covering it, though, I love covering high school sports because it sounds cliche and it sounds corny, but there still is like this purity to it, right? Like you really are doing it to do it with your friends and to like accomplish something that is a sort of a new frontier for you in your young life. And it just makes me happy. It makes me so happy. And the fact that, a lot of times, I mean, you can have a program, you can be developing guys and all that stuff, but a lot of it is you just have to have a group of kids that's coming together and doing it on their own. And I think that's a cool thing. So we heard from Manhattan head coach Wes Crott earlier in the show, his team off to a 4-0 start, and he talked a lot about how last year and coming up short in the state championship game against Malta for his Manhattan Tigers motivated him, and what that has done for the culture of the football team, but also just the culture of sports and why sports matter in Manhattan and how that's driven forward the athletes there. That's all what this is supposed to be all about. That's what sports are supposed to be all about, is the lessons that we learn, both winning and losing. And I thought that was it was cool of him to acknowledge. And that was in hour number 1. We also talked to Peter Hamill, Class AA Vertical Raise Player of the Week. That was doled out. We also had our latest Charter State Stars as well, highlighting some of the best individual storylines and performances from the week that was from around the state of Montana. We mentioned Ashlyn Dvorak, who's the outstanding goalkeeper, actually one of 2 outstanding goalkeepers. Here's a conundrum. If there was like a football story like this would be like one of the lead things on this show. And certainly Grizz soccer gets a lot of drip around here, no question, and they deserve it. I mean, they've become regionally relevant. They've won the Big Sky multiple years in a row. They're still waiting for that first NCAA tournament berth in a little while, but they've been the cream of the crop in the Big Sky Conference. But this would be, I think, if this is like the 2 quarterback system, but it's different even. I don't know what the parallel is if you're talking about football or basketball, but the Grizz have the 2 best goalies in the league right now. They are 2 of the best goalies in the region. Dvorak was, first team all-conference 2 years ago. She's from Billings. Then she got hurt. Bayless Flynn comes in and completely dominates last year. And then they basically had to figure out a way to make it work. And it's been fascinating to watch because they have made it work. And the Grizz soccer team is coming off of a unbelievable last week. They beat Gonzaga 4-0. That's the worst they beat Gonzaga this century. And then they also got a little bit of redemption, at least when it comes to the program. Not a lot of these gals that are on this team have any experience playing against Washington State, but Chris Chidovitsky certainly does. That's the team he's had to play in the NCAA tournament. The 2 times he's taken Montana to the NCAA tournament, and they lost both of those games. I mean, Washington State has been a perennial NCAA tournament team. They've been a little bit down the last couple years with the Pac-12 redistribution and them sort of getting left out in the cold, but they're still a good team, and that's a great win for Montana. So a 6-2-1 record is what Montana takes into Big Sky Conference play. How does the goalie rotation between Dvorak and Bayless Flynn work out? I'm not sure. I don't know if it is a good problem to have or not. I don't know enough about the nuances of playing goalie at the Division I women's soccer level. But either way, this is all part of a larger story, and that's that fall sports are on fire right now at Montana. You take football, who moved to 3-0 on Saturday, and you pair that with volleyball, who swept the weekend again, and they've now won 8 matches in a row. That's their most since 1994. And then you take Grizz soccer, who won twice more and has one of the best non-conference records in the history of the school. And things are going well right now for fall sports at the University of Montana. So I thought I'd worth mentioning that there. But let's keep on rolling when it comes to our prep coverage. Kalispell Glacier is the favorite, definitely right now in AA. Billings, West, Bozeman, Gallatin, maybe even Missoula Big Sky might have something to say about all that. But right now, Glacier has been absolutely pounding teams, including winning a rematch of the state championship game from a year ago. Helena Capital, of course, won the state championship against Glacier last year, but Glacier gets revenge in a big way, 56-6. They're at 49-0 at halftime. Glacier, since their 14-10 win at Billings West to start the season, 62-21 over Bozeman, 42-0 over Butte, 56-6 over Helena Capital. I'd say they're rolling. If you want to check out the Wolfpack, they are in town on Friday night to take on Missoula Hellgate. We caught up with the head coach earlier this week. Well, look at us moving into the modern era. We got video now, not just audio. Usually Grady Bennett, head coach Kalispell Glacier, just joins us on the phone line, but now we're doing phone and video here. So, Coach, good to see you. Thanks for being here, man.
You bet. Thanks for having me on again, Coulter.
First of all, let's talk about the start of your team. I know we talked to you a couple weeks ago, and you really liked the progress, but you guys really rolled on Friday night, 49-0 by halftime and a 56-6 win over Helena Capital in a rematch of the state championship game. So what did you like out of your team's performance, and how have you guys been able to sort of continue to gain momentum throughout this season so far?
Well, I just really like how we're showing up to compete. I might have told you earlier, I really like the competitiveness of this group. That's probably their number one strength. They compete well. They love competing. And it's so easy and so much fun to coach competitive kids. It makes everything different. It makes practice different, makes your approach to game, your game plans when you know your guys are just going to compete like crazy. So what's been fun for us is, we knew the first 4 games, maybe the toughest schedule we've ever had here at Glacier, on the road to number 1 Billings West, first trip, come back to perennial power Bozeman, who, the kids all remembered the state championship game a couple years ago, and we've struggled against Bozeman. And then on the road against Butte and Nuanez, which, the kids remembered that 2 years ago, and we lost that terrible gut-wrenching up 21-0 going into the fourth quarter and lose, heartbreaker. And then last year, of course, losing the Capital twice in the state championship at the end. So our kids have a great balance of understanding, and of course I teach this, but hey, this year's a new year, new cast of characters, got to stay present, it's all about now and all that stuff. But they're also competitive enough to be able to balance and say, yeah, all right, Bozeman, let's go. And okay, Butte, let's go. And then last week, yeah, we won a little piece of Helena Capital. So I'm just proud of how they focus and compete and, but also understand, stay present and just get after it in their senior year. So great group of kids to coach for sure.
Well, yeah, it seems like they're, just watching the highlights on the news and watching a little bit on the stream, seems like there is like a chip on their shoulder, even though this group has had a ton of success over the last couple of years. Do you think part of that's just come from, coming up short in the state championship the last couple of times?
Yeah, I think so. And I think it's, again, as competitive as they are, they take it a little more serious. I mean, a lot of kids might be like, hey, wow, right, we played in 2 state championship games in a row. That's pretty cool. And maybe really not apply it. But these guys, man, right after that game, we're just so motivated all off. I didn't have to do anything as far as, motivating or the different things you try to do in the winter and the spring to get guys going. And these guys just went to work and they started kind of putting up their own motivational signs and doing things in the locker room. I was like, okay, that's just the group that they are. So yeah, you see that kind of natural chip on their shoulder. They just are motivated to get back and try to do something that they haven't been able to do the last 2 years and that the last 2 senior classes haven't been able to do.
Grady Bennett joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Seems like you're getting a ton of great play from a lot of different guys, too. I mean, it seems like you got a lot of contributors. That probably bruised some momentum in the locker room, too, right? When a lot of guys are getting to celebrate and also celebrate each other.
For sure. And I'm really proud of how we're playing so well in all 3 phases. It hasn't just been dominating on defense. Our defense has been outstanding, and I knew they would be. But our offense has obviously been very good. Our special teams has been excellent. So, like you said, a lot of guys understanding that they can make a difference in the game, even if they're only a special teams player and they're getting 12 to 15 snaps out there, they're making a difference. Our defense has scored 3 touchdowns now. Special teams has created scores. We haven't scored one yet, but we've created a bunch of them. So yeah, spreading the ball around. I think it's funny because some people might look at Jackson Presley's stats and think, well, gosh, man, he's not having that great of a senior year, but We've been up big in 3 of our games. And he's really doing such a good job of just being patient and distributing the ball. He's not just coming out there and trying to chuck it deep. He's so selfless. He's such a great person. He's making the right play. I think what Jackson and I have talked about is him really preparing to be a college quarterback, which is, of course, where he's headed, right? So rather than just come out and look for stats and try to light it up here and there, he's really trying to get better as a quarterback and make the right decision every single time, no matter what, because he knows he's going to have to do that at the next level. So I'm really proud of how he's playing and actually progressing. He's getting better, even though somebody might look at numbers and say, oh gosh, maybe he's not having the kind of senior year that we expected.
Well, I mean, just less possessions too, right? When you're scoring on defense like you guys are, with the short fields because of the punt return game and all that sort of stuff too. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into it seems like.
Well, absolutely. And, last game against Capital, we only had 26 snaps on offense, only 26.
That's crazy.
And we called, excuse me, just a second. And, we called his number 16 of those 26. Only 10 of them have been up passes, a couple were runs. The other ones are RPOs where he's making the right decision and giving it to the running back instead of keeping it himself or throwing it. So, yeah, when you break it down, he ends up 8 for 10, and it looks like, gosh, what are you doing? But he's just playing really good football in a limited number of snaps.
Asher Napik, I hope I'm saying that last name right. How do you think, or I guess what sort of things has Asher brought to your guys' offensive attack so far?
Man, another incredibly competitive kid, great leader, watching him grow from last year to this year. He came to us from Big Fork as a junior, and just watching him grow as a leader. He's very motivated. He's got goals. He's one of those kids that sets goals and really works hard to achieve those goals. He wants to play college football as well. Man, I mean, last year he was such a great linebacker for us, and we knew this year we'd play him at running back. I didn't really know how effective he could maybe be doing both, but wow, has he been outstanding. I think what Asher does at running back is he might understand schemes better than anybody I've coached. Like, he's got great patience. He's got great feel for getting on his blockers and reading, making the right cut and getting downfield. But he really understands scheme. If you're running counter, if you're running a G-pole scheme, if you're running whatever it is, he gets it. He knows what the linemen are trying to do. And then he puts his skills and his vision into play. So he's having a great year running the ball. And then as a linebacker, he's very, very good as well.
What sort of improvements do you want to see now? It's kind of like into the second half of the regular season now here. So what sort of improvements do you want to see now that you're into the meat of the schedule and it's almost October?
Yeah, and there's always the things you can clean up. You watch film, and I think the challenge is, at the very beginning of the year, we talked about the gauntlet, these 4 games and how tough they were to put ourselves in a position. I remember talking about, we hope to get through it 2-2, maybe 3-1. We didn't know. Now that it's over and we put ourselves 4-0, really in the driver's seat to just take care of business every week. But what that's going to take is getting better. We can't afford to plateau or just sit around and say, well, we play these guys, so who cares? No, man, it doesn't matter who we play. Every week, we just have to get better. So we just always each week have our guys focus on 1 or 2 individual techniques, skills, fundamentals that they need to get better at. And they see that on film and they write their goals up. And then as a team, what are some things on offense, defense, special teams that we can get better at? So we build all those into each week. And then it doesn't matter who the opponent is. Those are the markers that we take into that next game and want to see improvements in it. And I think if we just keep doing that week after week, again, regardless of who we're playing and the situation, these guys are focused enough to be able to do that, I think. And we just want to be playing our best ball when we get to the playoffs.
Well, road trip coming up. You play in Missoula against Hellgate. So, what have you liked about the way your team's traveled so far this year? And also, what do you think of the Knights?
The Knights. The thing is, they have guys that can change the game in an instant. They have 2 guys that are going to the University of Montana, and they have a couple other really good football players. So, our guys again are mature enough. This is such a mature senior group that they understand you have to respect everybody regardless. And everybody talks about, it's cliche, but the faceless opponent, the nameless opponent. But really, I think our guys are mature enough and are focused enough on what they want to not worry about who it is, have a healthy respect for Hellgate and let's go down and get better. Talking about traveling, we are used to doing it. And I'm so impressed with our kids, man, to get on the bus and drive all the way down to Billings. We left at 6 a.m. that morning and to show up and play like they did against West and then go to Butte and Duranci and the way they traveled and just take care of business. So I just like so many signs that I see from this team. Obviously, there's so many good things, the qualities. And now the key is making all those strengths just stronger, right? Using those qualities that are strengths and making them even stronger as we go.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much for checking in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Appreciate it.
Grady Bennett, good to see you. Yeah, it's fun doing these Zoom calls. The phone has always been such a huge deal. We love the Elevated Text phone line. We love Elevated Text. We're open to present our phone line and our podcast. But it's just nice to see people, live and in person. I think it makes the television element of all this stuff way better too. And, I think you just have some more cohesive interviews when you can actually see each other as well. So fun implementation of technology. Appreciate Hayden for always producing all this stuff, because I drop a lot on him week in and week out here, day in and day out, show in and show out. So I appreciate him for always putting all that stuff together. But it's good to see Coach, and we always love having Grady Bennett on the show. It is Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. Take a break, come back, talk Eastern Washington and Idaho. Two of the more fearsome rivals of the Montana schools come to the state of Montana in the same week to open Big Sky Conference play. We'll talk about both of those programs and their respective matchups with the Grizz and the Cats on the other side. Don't change that dial. Keep it right here, 102.9 ESPN Radio. At Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula, they've taken their most popular washes, combined all the most popular features, from foam wax to graphene to ceramic coating, and boom, you got the best bang for your buck, any dirty or grimy vehicle. And be sure to check out memberships at Dazzler's Car Wash. Starting for just $34 a month, you can get the most thorough and quality car wash in the Garden City. Dazzler's Car Wash, located off Radio Way in Missoula. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated with Dazzler's Car Wash today. Registration for the 2025 Zootown Challenge is now open, with more categories to choose from, like Double Grizz, Zootown Strong, Team 5K, Novice 5K, an All Abilities race, and a kids race. The Zootown Challenge is an inclusive race with so many options for every level of athlete. Visit ZootownChallenge.com for more information and to register. Challenge yourself for a cause. Net proceeds go to Opportunity Resources. Visit ZootownChallenge.com to learn more. Elevated Tax and Accounting is not your average accounting firm.
A lot of firms don't offer tax planning. You bring in your documents at the beginning of the tax year. We're in 2025. We're doing 2024 returns. Everybody brings in their stuff, and now it's too late for tax planning. There's all sorts of deductions or credits that could be left on the table because nobody took the time during the year to figure out whether or not those things are going to be available for that specific client. So tax planning is one of those things that we offer that's extra, that helps our clients out quite a bit.
To learn more, visit elevatedtax.com.
Missoula Electric Cooperative and Energy Partners are teaming up to celebrate Co-op Month, and we're bringing the party to a district near you. In October, we're hosting 6 member appreciation events. Join us for dinner, drinks, networking, important neighborhood updates, and of course, prizes. Watch your mailbox for an invitation in September, then join us for an evening of community, conversation, and celebration in October, co-hosted by Missoula Electric Cooperative and Energy Partners.
There's almost no argument. Canyon River Golf Club in East Missoula is the premier public golf course in the state of Montana. Superintendent Caleb has the greens running fast, and your approach shots better be true because everything around the green is fast too. Canyon River makes it easy for you to book a tee time. You can visit online and book any time at CanyonRiverGolfClub.com. If you have any doubt, leave no doubt. The Canyon River is the premier public golf course in the state of Montana. Visit online, CanyonRiverGolfClub.com. Red's Bar is a beloved institution in downtown Missoula. Whether you want to watch a game, enjoy a cold beer, spend time with friendly faces, or simply wind down, the welcoming atmosphere and wonderful staff at Red's will make you feel right at home. Red's features 14 HD TVs and 2 full-service bars. Stop by and grab a beer with friends while you watch your favorite team play, and check out the extensive collection of awesome sports memorabilia. Red's Bar in downtown Missoula, the friendliest sports bar in town.
ESPN Missoula Sports Center.
A few of the top-ranked high school football teams in Montana made statements last week. Hello, I am Coulter Nuanez. In Class A, Billings Central dismantled its 3rd straight top 5 opponent, putting the rest of Montana on notice with a 35-0 win over number 2 Laurel in a rematch of last year's state championship game. On the second play of the game, Howie Martin threw a 60-yard touchdown pass to Grizz commit William Snell, and the Rams never looked back in earning their 3rd straight win over a ranked opponent and posting their first shutout of the season. That's now 16 straight wins for the Rams, who also beat Laurel on the same field for last year's State A championship. In a rematch of the Class AA state championship, Kalispell Glacier ripped Helena Capital after losing the matchup last fall. The Wolfpack led 49-0 at halftime on the way to a 56-6 triumph to move to 4-0 and drop Capital to 1-3. In the game of the week in Class B, number 2 Manhattan scored on a 4th and goal with 10 minutes to play to earn a 28-20 win over number 3 Three Forks to remain unbeaten. Manhattan's now 4-0 this season. Number 1 Malta, the defending state champs, also remained unbeaten by drilling Wolf Point 46-14. And finally, Missoula Big Sky is off to a 4-0 start for the first time since 1994, thanks to a 41-7 win over Butte last Thursday. For more on prep football from around Montana, tune into Nuanez Now all week long. This ESPN Missoula Sports Center is brought to you by Canyon River Golf Club of East Missoula.
This is Nuanez Now on 102.9 ESPN Radio Missoula.
I gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'ma touch the sky. Gotta testify. Come up in the spot looking extra fly. For the day I die, I'ma touch the sky. Back when they thought pink polos would hurt the rock. Before Cam got the pop, the doors is closed. I felt like bad boy street team. I couldn't work the locks. Now let's go. Take them back to the plan. Me and my mama hopped in that U-Haul van. Any pessimists, I ain't talk to them. Plus, I ain't had no phone in my apartment.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. We're also streaming live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. We are coming to you through the Grizzly Disposal Studio. Grizzly Disposal is locally owned and operated, also veteran-owned and operated. If you'd like to find out how they can improve your waste management services, you can visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. That's 406-541-7171. Grizzly Disposal, the only bear that should be in your garbage. Idaho and Eastern Washington coming to town. The Vandals in Missoula for a Big Sky After Dark clash on Saturday night. And the Eagles in Bozeman for a matinee against Montana State. It's interesting because 10 years ago, Eastern would have been the team that was nationally ranked, and that would be the nationally ranked matchup, and that would be the one that probably got flexed into the night game, and that would be the one that would probably be on national TV, and that would be the one getting all the headlines. Now, it's the exact opposite. It's the Montana-Idaho game, and part of that's because of the renewal of that rivalry. For whatever inexplicable reason, Montana and Idaho did not play last year. That was a scheduling faux pas on the Big Sky Conference's behalf. We are getting to the point now where when the 9 conference games roll around, this should happen less often, if not never, where Montana and Idaho miss each other. I hope there's a day in which Idaho and Montana State all play each other, and Idaho and Eastern Washington play each other, and Eastern Washington and Montana and Montana State all play each other. I would love to have these 4 teams all play each other. That would be great. That would be better for the Big Sky Conference. But back to my main point, and that is that Eastern Washington was, I think, pretty clear-cut the best team in the Big Sky Conference last decade. Now, Eastern doesn't really even have a seat at the table in the Big Sky Conference. They have only won 12 games since their last playoff appearance, and that's getting further and further in the rearview. That was 2021. So we're talking almost a whole cycle of players and talent since Eric Berrier and that group that came to Missoula and gave the Grizz all they could handle in the 2021 playoffs. Since then, Eastern Washington hasn't done anything. And they've had some times when they've come to Montana, either to play the Grizz or the Cats, and gotten steamrolled. When Montana and Montana State have gone to Cheney, they still have been competitive. I mean, last year, Eastern took the Grizz all the way down the wire and ended up losing by 3. They took the Cats. They pushed the Cats. They ended up losing by 2 touchdowns, but it was 28-28 going into the fourth quarter before Tommy Millott had the huge touchdown run. So Eastern's still been, they've looked like they've wanted to have a fighting chance when the games against the Montana schools have been in Cheney, but not so much when they've come to Missoula or Bozeman. They've just gotten run off the field. They've only come to Bozeman once during the Brett Vegan era, but they lost 57-16. They came to Missoula during the 2023 season, and that was a boat race as well. I think it was 57-10. So not great. Part of this dynamic is that Idaho has just straight replaced Eastern Washington with their seat at the table, right? But then you've also seen the rise of UC Davis. You've also seen Sac State get better. So part of why Eastern Washington was great in the 2010s was coaching and the identity of the program. I thought, first of all, Paul Wolf did a great job in the 2000s. First of all, Mike Kramer did a great job in the late 90s to set things up for Paul Wolf. Kramer then, of course, came to Montana State. Paul Wolf did a great job in the 2000s to set things up for Bo Baldwin, and then Baldwin took the program to the next level. Baldwin won the national championship in 2010, and then Eastern won 5 out of the next, 7 league titles. They won a total of 6 league titles in the 2010s. They went to the Final Four of the playoffs 5 times during that span. But again, it's been a complete fall from grace since then for the Eagles. And that's just been a really weird thing to watch. Again, part of it is I think that Eastern Washington was riding high when Montana wasn't quite as good. The Cats were good and then they weren't. And Eastern took a little bit of advantage of that as well. And then, of course, then Montana State started building again. Northern Arizona went through a big transition when Jerome Sowers retired. And, then they got sort of stuck in neutral when Chris Ball was there. I think they're out of neutral and at least into first or second gear now with Brian Wright as the head coach. Sac State was never a playoff team, and they have been a playoff team more often than not. 4 times since 2019, Sac State has made the playoffs. So all of those people have been ascending, but also Eastern has descended, and there's just no question about that. I think part of it is Idaho. They took that regional perch. They are the team of that area now. And I think the reason they were able to pretty seamlessly and pretty fluidly overtake Eastern is because Eastern's had all this success in terms of wins and losses. They also have this unique thing in the red turf to recruit to, so that gives them a different brand. And they also did such a great job of recruiting the guys that were falling through the cracks that weren't going to Washington or Washington State. The dudes from the west side of Washington and the Seattle-Tacoma area that weren't quite Pac-12 good. They just made a killing on those guys. Well, now Idaho's in that mix because they're not recruiting on the FBS level anymore. They're recruiting at the same guys. Montana, when Mick Delaney and Bob Stitt were the head coaches, they were not necessarily in Washington that heavily. Guess who loves to recruit Washington, especially Eastern Washington? Bobby Houck. Montana State was hardly in Washington at all during the Rob Ashe era. They were in California and Texas. It was Montana, California, and Texas. That was the majority of the Bobcat roster. Then Ashe gets fired. Jeff Choate takes over. Where's he from? University of Washington. What's he want to do? Recruit nothing but the best dudes from that part of the state. I mean, Isaiah Fonse probably goes to Eastern Washington if it's 2012 or 2014 or something, right? Instead, he goes to Montana State and becomes one of the all-time leading rushers in the history of the conference, but he's a kid from Seattle. And, and I'm not saying that Eastern would have beat Montana State in recruiting. 2014, they probably just wouldn't have recruited Afonso, so Eastern just would have had a spot further up in line. So I think all those factors have gone in. Idaho being better, Idaho being back in the FCS. I think that Washington State and Washington being better. Less guys have fallen through the cracks. I think that Montana and Montana State recruiting the state of Washington, that's also been less guys that are available for Eastern's disposal. But then I also think there's just also the real factors of, like, Eastern used to make hay with like Prop 48, which is guys that were partial or non-qualifiers. They'd be able to get them into school there at Eastern and get them eligible. And that was a distinct advantage over a lot of the other schools in the Big Sky, especially in the northwestern part of the Big Sky. Now, and I don't want to, I'm speculating a little bit here, and I'm talking tongue-in-cheek a little bit here, but a guy like Tywan Jones, who was a non-qualifier, partial qualifier, coming out of the Sacramento area, this was probably almost 20 years ago now, because he was a senior in 2010. That guy went on to play in the NFL for like 11 or 12 years. He was nasty good. That guy now is just going to go to a Power 5 where they're going to get him in school, give him all the academic help he could possibly need, get him eligible, whether that takes gray shirting him or red shirting him or whatever, and then boom, that guy's just going to play in the Power 5. He's just going to play at Arizona or Arizona State or something like that. They're just going to find out a way to get him eligible. So a lot of those gray areas that Eastern was feasting on also has been something that's really, really changed. I just find it really interesting Because even with, those that are critical of Eastern could say, oh, it's not that surprising that a school that's in the middle of a wheat field, basically, in a tiny little town like Cheney where there's hardly anything to do, it's not that surprising that team fell off. Well, you can contrast that by the fact that it's so surprising that team reached the heights they did. I mean, for gosh sakes, Eastern Washington is the last Big Sky Conference team to win a national championship. It's been 15 years, but they did it. They did it 10 years more recently than the Grizz, and they did it 25 years more recently than Montana State. So that's worth something. There's also the Big Sky success, but it's also the fact that they had a defined identity. I always say this, in the FCS, defining what your advantages and your disadvantages are, accentuating your advantages. So for Eastern, at a certain amount of time, it was that they could run roughshod over recruiting throughout the entire state of Washington. They could get great dudes who fell through the cracks on the UW side, on the west side. They could also get great dudes that fell through the cracks on the Idaho and Washington State side. And they also had the ability to take guys that were maybe academically behind, and they also had this tremendous offense to recruit to. They had, I think, 7 different quarterbacks win Big Sky Conference Offensive Player of the Year. They had multiple guys who were Walter Payton finalists, multiple guys who won Walter Payton awards. That was their niche. That was their go-to. That was their bread and butter. Since then, for whatever reason, they got away from that. 4 Payton winners, by the way. Montana's got 1. Montana State's got 1. So Eastern's got twice as many as Montana and Montana State combined. Eric Meyer won the Walter Payton in 2005. Bo Levi Mitchell won it in 2011. Cooper Kupp won it in 2015. And Eric Berrier won it in 2021. They've also had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 offensive players of the year in the Big Sky just in the last 20 years. 13 out of the last 20. Eastern. But none since 2021. So they went away from that. The disadvantages have always been it's windy and cold and not that pretty in Cheney. There's not that much to do. It's a directional state school, so it is a fine place to get a higher education, and they certainly have certain majors that are reputable, but nobody's calling it the Harvard of the West or anything like that. But they mitigated that. In some ways, they actually even accentuated that and used that part to their advantage too. So it's just wild. I'm not saying Idaho's in the spot of where they're at just because Eastern fell off. In fact, I think Idaho's presence has caused partially Eastern to fall off. It's just fascinating because if this game was being played, if these games were being played even just, let's say, pre-pandemic, 2019, you're talking an Eastern Washington team that is coming off of a trip to the national championship, playing a Montana State team that's coming off of back-to-back playoff appearances, including a run to the Final Four. That would be a primetime game. Meanwhile, you'd have a Montana team that had missed the playoffs the year before against an Idaho team that was totally stuck in the mud and just wallowing away at the end of the Paul Petrino days. But just fast forward, just since 2019 till now, and you got an Idaho team that's working on 3 straight playoff appearances, that won 10 games and went to the quarterfinals of the playoffs, which was their deepest run in more than 30 years, playing a Grizz team that's ranked 5th in the country, won the Big Sky title 2 years ago, is coming off of a 9-5 season that was largely disappointing, but still certainly a national contender. And then you got a Montana State team that's won 2 out of the last 3 Big Sky titles, played in 2 out of the last 4 national championship games, been in the top 5 basically perennially during Brent Deegan's 4.5 seasons there. And who's the outlier now? It's Eastern. They're the ones that have only won, a handful of league games over the last couple of years. They're the ones that haven't had a winning record in 4 seasons. They're the ones that have fallen from the ranks of the elite, and not even just the ranks of the elite. They've fallen from out of the top half of the Big Sky Conference. That's been pretty crazy to watch. So it's an interesting sort of ecosystem to analyze, and I think that there's a lot of reasons why, and I tried to give you at least some. So if you have thoughts, what do you think? Why has Idaho replaced Eastern Washington in the sort of hierarchy of Big Sky Conference football? Let us know. 406-888-1029. That's 888-1029. text us on the Elevated Tax and Accounting phone line, 888-1029, and let us know what you think. Take one more break, pay one more set of bills. We'll come back on the other side. Solomon Tuliapupu, a senior transfer from USC, had the game of his career so far, at least, for the Grizz football team last week. He'll join us once the Grizz get done with practice. That's next. Don't change that dial. Keep right here. 129 ESPN Radio.
Hey Grizz fans, the hockey season is back and we're kicking off with the inaugural Hocktoberfest. Join us Friday, October 3rd from 5 to 7 p.m. under the outdoor pavilion at Glacier Ice Rink. Get your limited edition beer stein from Silver Slipper for drink specials all night. Enjoy a DJ, food, drinks, games, meet the team, get posters signed, and win prizes and swag. Plus, explore local organizations promoting their activities. Best of all, Hocktoberfest is free and open to everyone. Grab your tickets at grizzhockey.com for the season opener against Utah at 7:30 p.m. Come celebrate with us. See you there.
Black Mountain Lawn and Landscaping is proud to be the Best of Missoula winner for landscaping and is ready to help with fall irrigation system blowout services. Black Mountain Lawn and Landscaping is here to help with a full range of services, including lawn mowing, planting, landscaping, and hardscaping with a special focus on paver patios. Call now for your free estimate on fall cleanup, sprinkler system blowout, and lawn care. Visit us at blackmountainlandscaping.com, call 406-529-0793, or email Dave at blackmountainlawns.com. Let us get your yard ready for fall.
Colter Nuanez from ESPN Montana here, and I can't tell you how much high-speed fiber internet from Blackfoot Communications has improved my life. It might sound simple, but having lightning-fast upload speeds lets me record video calls in 4K to use on our Nuanez Now radio and television show. It also allows us to produce content with world-class efficiency, and I can work from home even if my wife is streaming her HD TV. If you want to experience the fastest internet speeds possible, you need fiber internet from Blackfoot. Find out more about fiber in your area by visiting blackfoot.com.
Can you smell it? No, not the melty, delicious, piping hot homemade pizza. Nope, not the steamed clams. Although if you smell either of those, you're going to be dreaming all day. You can smell football in the air. Now you're craving something delicious with melted cheese, aren't you? Before you know it, Paradise Falls will have football games on all of their 30 big screen TVs, and Paradise Falls is always a wonderful gathering place to meet friends and family alike to share a pizza and talk about football. Come get your football fix and enjoy breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Paradise Falls, located at 3621 Brook Street in Missoula.
It really doesn't matter what time of year it is. What sounds better than enjoying a cold beer? Canby Tap House has the best selection and most variety of specialty beers on tap in all of Missoula. Canby Tap House on South Higgins features dozens and dozens of taps for you to try beers from all over the world. And don't forget, Canby Tap House also offers several tap lines, a variety of other tasty beverages, and a delicious food selection. Follow Canby Tap House on Instagram to stay up to date on all of their rotating food specials. Open at 9 a.m. daily, Canby Tap House on South Higgins across from Dornblazer Field.
All Nations Health Center is proud to share that they have officially purchased the Women's Club in Missoula. This marks a significant moment in All Nations' story and history, giving the organization a permanent home and a place where they can continue to grow, care for their relatives, and deepen their commitment to community health and healing. Owning this space means stability, strength, and the opportunity to better serve patients in the Western Montana community in a way that reflects the values and mission of All Nations. For more information on everything All Nations has to offer, follow All Nations on social media or visit allnations.health.
1, 2, 3. Nuanez Now on ESPN Radio.
I'm trying to put you in the worst mood. P1 cleaner than your church shoes. Really point to just to hurt you. All red lamb just to tease you. None of these toys on lease to. Made your whole year in a week too. Make out of your leap too. Side out of your leap too. House so empty, need a centerpiece. 20 racks a table come from ebony. Cut that ivory into skinny pieces. Then she clean up with her face, but I love my baby. You talking money, need a hearing aid. You talking about me, I don't see a shade. Switch on my side, I take any lane. Switch on my core if I kill any pain.
Welcome back. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio, SWX Montana Television, and the ESPN MT app. I'm Colter Nuanez. Appreciate you for hanging out with us and missing the show. You can always find it on the Elevated Tax and Accounting podcast. Elevated Tax and Accounting, elevating you and your business with a modern professional touch. You want to save money on your taxes this year, visit elevatedtax.com. I'm thinking that we're getting close to the end of Grizz practice. If not, I'll let you know what's going on with the Grizz basketball schedule. They just dropped that, but I can hear the man through the glass talking on the phone, so it sounds like we will have a guest, and we do have a guest. He had one of the plays of the game and also probably had his best game as a Grizzly. Solomon Tuliapupu joins us here on Nuanez Now. Solo, thanks for being here, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
How'd I do on the pronunciation? Did I nail the last name?
Yes, sir. You did it perfect.
Awesome. I love it. I've been practicing. I once upon a time covered a young man named Na'amoi Akiola. He was a kid from Dallas, Texas, and he taught me. He said, here's how you say the Islander last name. So I've been practicing because I knew that you were going to be a guy that was going to contribute. So we knew we had to get it right. So first of all, just tell us about being in Montana, man. I mean, you've been here now for a little while, and I know you had a long path to get here. So just take us through what drew you to the University of Montana and what it's been like for you since you moved to Missoula.
Man, I love it out here, man. First of all, I want to thank Coach Hauk for bringing me over here, and Coach Coop as well. They've been very welcoming to me and my family. I want to thank the community of Missoula for welcoming me and my family as well. And, of course, the Grizz, man. There's nothing like it over here. It's pretty special over here, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
What's kept you in the game? Because you played at USC, but you had all these injuries. I know that was probably really hard to go through both physically and mentally. So what's kept you wanting to continue to play football and gotten you here to the seventh year at Montana?
Man, I'll attribute it to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. You know, he died and he atoned for my sins. And, shoot, I believe he put it on my heart to see this through. Used up all my years. I had a rough start in college. I had a bunch of injuries, and, you know, God kept blessing me with extra years, so I figured I'd see it through and, you know, complete what I started.
Well, you got a chance to have the fortitude pay off with making the huge play on Saturday where you come off the edge and you get the strip sack fumble. I know we asked you about it in the post game, but just take us through that play. What was it like to make that play? And also, probably a pretty special moment for you and your family to just hear the crowd go crazy like that and when the Grizz are rolling to a big win.
Yeah, man. I mean, Coach Coop and Coach Tim, they drew that play up, and, you know, all I had to do was run it. They're really the great minds behind that. We repped a lot of plays throughout practice on coming off the edge, and, you know, they put me in a good position, and all I had to do is execute it. So I want to thank the coaches for that, and also the rest of the defense for, you know, jumping on the ball, scoring, and, of course, the fans as well for bringing us great energy every home game. It's been awesome, man.
Solomon Tuliapupu joining us here on Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. So I heard through the grapevine you have some family in Montana. Is that right? Is that one of the other connections that brought you here?
Yeah, I actually do. My wife's family are actually from Lolo, so we go and we hang out with them. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome.
Yes, sir.
So she must feel a little bit more at home than being here, having family close by.
Oh, yeah. I mean, shoot, she came here every summer growing up and got to be in the mountains over there down in the Bitterroot. So she loves it out here, and I love it out here, and our kids love it out here as well.
How old are the little ones?
So I have a 20-month-old and a 4-month-old.
Man, I got a 20-month-old too, so good for you for being able to balance school and football and the crazy men that are the little 20-month-olds, man. They're so busy and they're running around all over the place. What's it been like being a dad? How do you like being a father?
Man, it's been such a blessing, man. Well, first of all, congrats to you as well for having your baby. Yeah, and I mean, you already know, man, it's a blessing. There's nothing like it. It's like a piece of you is in this world now, and you love them with all your heart.
Well, super cool. How have you been able to manage just balancing, all of that, family and school and football and all that?
Man, well, God bless me with a great wife, man, a rock star of a wife. She handles our homemaking stuff, and she makes it easy on me to be a father figure. She's a great mother and a great wife, and, man, I love her so much.
Well, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's a cool fold to the story, no doubt. It's our good start of the week, probably presented by Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula. So you're jumping into Big Sky Conference play now. So this is sort of a new horizon for a lot of you guys that haven't played in the Big Sky yet. So what are your expectations just moving into conference play? What's sort of your mentality coming into Saturday night?
Man, we're excited. You know, we just ended practice right now, and it went great. We had great energy. We flew around, and we're executing our plays. And man, it's going to be fun. We're hyped to get it started and get out there for a nice night game at Grizz.
Well, Idaho, I'm sure you probably just started looking at them, but they got a quarterback that can run around a bunch. So just in general, not necessarily specific game plan stuff, but just in general, how much pressure can a running quarterback put on a defense? And what sort of things, or I guess how aware of that do you guys need to be this week as a defensive unit?
Man, he's a good player, and they're a good team. We want to come out. We want to first execute in practice, and then whatever the coaches tell us is the game plan. We want to throw it on the field and put out a good product for not only our coaches, but also our fans and our family.
Where are we at with night games? Do you like night games? You probably had to play a lot of night games at USC.
Oh, yeah, man. We're excited for it. The whole team's been talking about it. Some of us are going to break out the sleeves. It's going to be cool enough. So, yeah, it's going to be fun, man. We want to get it rocking and want to have a good time on Saturday night.
What time do you eat dinner when you're playing football at 8 o'clock? How do you make sure you're still fueled up when the game is so late?
Man, you just got to make sure, it starts all the way on Thursday. You got to be fueled up on Thursday, have good meals on Thursday, Friday, have good meals, stay hydrated, and all day Saturday you got a big breakfast, maybe a lighter lunch and an even lighter dinner, so that way you're able to fly around.
It should be fun. So looking forward to it. Grizz on national TV on Saturday night. Solomon, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for sharing your story with us, and good luck on Saturday.
Man, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for having me.
Grizz Star of the Week, probably presented by Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula, Solomon Tuliapupu, a seventh-year senior for the Grizz football team. It's a pretty crazy story, man. I mean, the dude was the national player of the year in high school. Like, that's like, he's the Max Preps national player of the year defensively in all of high school football in the country. He goes to USC as their number one recruit in the 2018 recruiting class. Then injury after injury after injury. And the guy, I think he ended up playing like 19 or 20 games at SC in 6 years. But he gets granted this last year, and I'm sure there was some compounding interest there with the COVID and the injuries and all that stuff. But he gets this last year, and then, I mean, what a connection for his wife to have family in Lolo, and she's grown up in the Bitterroot during the summers, and that's a pretty big stroke of luck for the Grizz, right? And then for the guy himself to actually want to continue to play football, that's also a pretty unique thing, because usually if you go through that much stuff and you have that many setbacks, you're not trying to play football anymore. So for him to keep playing football, that's a pretty cool part of the story, and also just what a confluence of events to have that happen, and to have the Grizz have a chance to get that guy, then for them to get him, and then for them to make it work, and for him to stay healthy. And now all of a sudden you got this dude who's this 6'3", 250-pound linebacker coming off the edge, and it's pretty good fortune for Montana, and it's a cool story, so we appreciate Solomon for joining us. Also, thanks to Dazzler's Car Wash. They're right next door to us here on Radio Way. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated all fall and winter long at Dazzler's Car Wash in Missoula. We'll be back at it tomorrow. I'll share this Grizz hoop schedule with you. We also got Sam Herder, Hero Sports. We also got Carson Williams, Montana State. We also have the voice of the Idaho Vandals, Dennis Patchen. We'll see you tomorrow. Nuanez Now, ESPN Radio. At Dazzler's Car Wash of Missoula, they've taken their most popular washes, combined all the most popular features from foam wax to graphene to ceramic coating, and boom, you got the best bang for your buck any dirty or grimy vehicle. And be sure to check out memberships at Dazzler's Car Wash. Starting for just $34 a month, you can get the most thorough and quality car wash in the Garden City. Dazzler's Car Wash, located off Radio Way in Missoula. Treat your car like it deserves to be treated with Dazzler's Car Wash today.
Lawn and farm equipment can cause wildfires during the dry seasons. Just one small spark can ignite dry grass, and taking the time to maintain equipment and prepare work areas can mitigate the threat of a wildfire starting on your ranch or farm. Keep mufflers and spark arresters on equipment in proper working order. Watch for rocks and metal when cutting hay or mowing. One less spark means one less wildfire. Learn more about ways to prevent a wildfire at mtfireinfo.org.
Is delayed service on your roll-off box slowing your construction project down? Call Grizzly Disposal and get yours within 24 hours. Don't wait days or even weeks for your construction roll-off box. Grizzly Disposal has them in stock and can get them to you fast. Visit grizzlydisposal.com or call 406-541-7171. 24-hour turnaround times and a commitment to doing what they say they're going to do. Locally and veteran-owned, Grizzly Disposal, the only bears that should be in your garbage.
The world's great steakhouses agree. Prime grade beef is hands down best. And first choice at this great steak state's Montana Clubs. Announcing with abundant Montana Club pride, the new Big Sky Country's Great Steak Escape, starring the top 2 to 3% of all beef. These 12 and 16 ounce USDA prime grade ribeye steaks, cut exclusively for the Montana Club, and are simply the best of the best. Near perfect marbling, the ultimate in flavor and tenderness, butter brushed and irresistibly seasoned to literally melt in your mouth. Available now, exclusively at truly a value you're sure to appreciate. The Great Steak Escape is just waiting for you and the ones you love at your Montana Club on Brooks and North Reserve, Missoula.
Fundraising is not always a popular word. Then you throw in some parents who don't really know how to do it, and it can become stressful. Vertical Raise can implement hands-on with any high school sports team to help maximize your fundraising efforts. Peter Hamill is an expert in making the process easy and ensuring your team gets the biggest check possible, so your season can go smoothly. Vertical Raise can help provide opportunities for family and friends of your kids to support them from afar. Not everyone can come watch a game, but plenty can contribute to a great cause. To find out how Vertical Raise can help your organization raise money, visit verticalraise.com.
ESPN Radio for Western Montana, KKVU HD3 Stevensville, and 102.9 FM on K275BS Missoula.
Breathing room in the AL Central, visiting the Guardians, who are currently just a game back. Detroit Ace Tarek Skubal working on a one-hitter. He and the Tigers leading Cleveland 1-0 top 6. Pirates up 4-2 on the Reds, bottom 5. Cubs have taken a 2-1 lead on the Mets, bottom 1. New York and Cincinnati tied for the final NL wildcard spot. Kyle Schwarber, 54th home run of the season. Otto Kemp, 2-run blast. Phillies lead the Marlins 3-0 bottom 4. Phils trail Milwaukee by 2.5 games for the top spot in the National League. Yankees up 1-0 on the White Sox, top 3. Red Sox leading the Blue Jays 1-0 bottom 3. Toronto is up 2 on the Yankees in the AL East and for the top spot in the American League. Boston is holding on to the second AL wildcard spot. NFL Giants ready to make a quarterback change. They plan to start rookie Jackson Dart Sunday against the Chargers as Russell Wilson heads to the bench. In 3 games, Wilson's got 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Unsportsmanlike co-host Chris Canty.
The New York Giants had to put somebody out there, a quarterback that gives this team a chance to be competitive, because it ain't Russell Wilson. So I think they made the only choice that they possibly could, which is turning it over to Jackson Dart, the future for the New York Giants at the quarterback position.
Chris Canty on Freddie and Harry. Massive blow for 7th-ranked Oklahoma. Quarterback John Mateer will have surgery tomorrow on a broken bone in his throwing hand. Timeline for recovery, about a month. Michael Hawkins Jr. starts OU's next game on October 4th. Oklahoma State fired longtime football coach Mike Gundy. His buyout's $15 million.
Hey, this is Rich Eisen. Coming up Wednesday, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, Syracuse head coach Fran Brown, Grammy Award winner Zach Brown in studio, plus NFL Power Rankings. That's the Rich Eisen Show on Disney+, plus the ESPN app, and ESPN Radio.
Here on Amber again, if you want to weigh in on
Radio,
any news
your
from around
window
Amber
to
and
University
Nation,
of Montana
Just hit us up
football.
on the Dr. Pepper call-in line, 888-SAY-ESPN, 888-729-3776. You can also find him at Ian Fitz ESPN. You can find me at Amber W Sports. Let's bring in Jeff Passan, ESPN Senior Major League Baseball Insider. It's time for a progressive MLB snapshot. And Jeff, before we get to baseball, let's start with the really important stuff, because we were just having a conversation where we were doing what people come to ESPN Radio for, and that is ranking soups. And me and Ian gave the nation the 5 best soups that our country has to offer. My first question to you, Jeff Passan, are you in on French onion soup or are you out?
who's out on French onion soup and why are they wrong?
Me.
Thank you.
Me, Jeff. And I know you're shocked by that.
Then every opinion you have afterward is invalidated.
Preach.
It's awful. It's horrendous. There's nothing good about it.
It's so
nothing.
delicious.
Okay. Because I have the complete opposite perspective. Everything is good about French onion soup. If you sweat the onions properly, it draws out the inherent sweetness in them. You have melted cheese. You have the crunch of either croutons or the piece of bread on top. You have a rich beef stock. What are you missing?
So let me ask you this. If you were to go gumbo or French onion, which way are you going?
French onion.
Wow.
Jeff Pass has never been more right.
I don't look at gumbo as soup. Gumbo's gumbo.
Thank you.
It's like
Gumbo is a
it's not a
soup,
sandwich.
actually.
It's a hot dog.
As you know, Jeff, we've known each other for 20 years. I'm a boot boy, as you know. Louisiana. Gumbo is a soup.
Yes.
Sorry. It is. So
I'm with Jeff on this one.
Would Louisianans agree with you?
Yes, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. You know what? Then I defer to you. I still would take French onion soup over gumbo, and I love gumbo.
So let me ask you.
When I make gumbo, I get my roux dark. I will throw in the nasty, slimy okra and let it thicken it up. Like I use filet. Like I do it the right way, bro.
That's why we love you. All right, so. If your French onion soup is a baseball team coming into the playoffs, who's the French onion in Jeff Passan's opinion?
The Seattle Mariners. They've had a pretty sweet September, but there's some substance to them. There's some flavor there, and they've got a chance to wind up being, if not at the top, then near the top of the baseball teams that remain right now.
That's a pro segue right there, Ian. Well done getting Jeff Passan to
but
baseball.
But a short answer.
Yes, I loved it. ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan joining us here on Amber and Ian. All right, let's stick with baseball here because robot umps, they're almost here. We did get the vote. The vote was successful. So Major League Baseball announcing that players are going to be able to challenge balls and strike calls next season when the automated ball strike system makes an appearance. Jeff, your thoughts?
I like it. And I like it not because I've been on like the side of let's bring robot umps in. Probably a decade ago, I was completely against it, but the technology has gotten better. And to me, the real differentiation is between a full automated ball strike system and the challenge system. I feel like the challenge system, it does a couple of things, but chief among them, it gives you the opportunity to not have a blown call in an important game. Now, if you've wasted your challenges, that's your own fault. But the way that the rule's being implemented, you have 2 challenges. As long as they are successful challenges, you retain them. And if you're out of challenges going into extra innings, you get 1 for the 10th inning. If you use it in the 10th, unsuccessfully, you get another in the 11th. So there are backstops that they're putting in place to make sure that the intent and the purpose of this rule in the first place is honored.
Give me, coming into the end of the season, one team that you think that may not be on the front burner, right, as far as like gumbo would be, or tomato bisque might be, but America is
tomato
sleeping
bisque
on.
Wouldn't be. Your soup takes suck, dude. If you're going like gumbo and tomato bisque at the top,
dude, gumbo's my number 1, Jeff. Number 1. That's it. That doesn't get any better.
Is tomato? I would like when you say tomato bisque. Are you talking like have some creaminess to it, and maybe you can dip some grilled cheese in it?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We even specifically mentioned the grilled cheese.
All right, yeah. Okay, I'm down with that then.
So is that the Phillies? Who is it? All right, is that Toronto? Who's your obviously tomato bisque is your number 1. Who's your tomato bisque and when it comes to the Major League Baseball playoffs as we're on the horizon?
Nah, bro, matzo ball soup number 1. Happy Rosh Hashanah to everyone out there. I have been going back and forth over this for the last couple of weeks, knowing that I was going to be asked this question and still not knowing who I'm going to pick to win the World Series. Instinct, and I tend to trust my instinct on these sorts of things, tells me it's still the Dodgers, even though their record isn't anywhere near the Phillies or the Brewers, even though there are still questions about something as simple as, like, who's going to pitch the ninth inning for them. I just look at the Dodgers lineup with Mookie Betts hitting again, with Shohei Ohtani doing Shohei Ohtani things, and even without Will Smith, it is a potent lineup, a lineup capable of hitting home runs 1 through 9, and then they're starting pitchers. And however their rotation lays out, it's going to have Shohei Ohtani, it's going to have Yoshinobu Yamamoto, it's going to have Blake Snell, and it's going to have Tyler Glasnow. And that's a pretty good quartet to go out there with, especially when Emmett Sheehan's been one of the best pitchers in baseball over the last month and a half, and he's not even going to crack the rotation. So I think the reason that we think the Dodgers have problems is that because we're looking at them through the context of what we thought they were going to be versus looking at them in the context of what they are compared to their brethren. And I still think they are the most talented team in baseball, and thus the likeliest to win.
Aaron Judge and Cal Raleigh right now on ESPN Bet are both neck and neck, -115 to win the AL MVP. Which direction are you leaning, Jeff Passan?
Well, thankfully, I don't have a vote, so I do not have to lean in a direction. What I can do, though, is make the argument for both, because I feel like there's not a wrong choice here. If you're choosing Aaron Judge, you're doing so because his offensive numbers are overwhelming in an era where offense just isn't really a thing you see a whole lot of. He could have his third year. And I understand, by the way, that the previous years don't matter in MVP voting. I don't think they should, but he's about to have his third of 4 years with a weighted runs created plus of over 200, which is the sort of thing that you tend to only see over the last 50 years from guys who use steroids. And it means that he's just that much better than his peers, and he's got 175-point OPS advantage on Cal Raleigh. On the other hand, Cal Raleigh is going to lead the big leagues in home runs this year. He's leading the American League in RBIs right now, and he plays the toughest position in baseball, the most important position by a long shot, and plays it more than anyone. And so the combination of productivity and posting by Cal Raleigh versus the sheer volume of Aaron Judge's numbers, it makes for a fascinating MVP argument. And like I said earlier, I don't think there's a wrong answer here. I think you can make a great case for both, and I think it's going to be an extremely close vote at the end of the day.
All right, this is how much I love you. And going back to how long we've known each other, it's your call on this last question. You can go off on any player, any team that deserves some national pub, or Syracuse football beating Clemson. Your alma mater. Go.
Oh, God, David Fry just got hit in the face by a Tarek Scooble Fast Pork product in there. Delicious.
So I gave you the option of any player or MLB. We get a guy beamed, and then I give you your Syracuse football squad, and you're going to go split pea soup? Really?
Listen, there are things in life, Ian, that you have to understand are important. David Fry is going to be okay. Syracuse football is going to be mediocre. Major League Baseball, we have a week left. But split pea soup needs to be eternal. And if I can help it get there, then you're damn right I'm going to do that.
Jeff Passan, ESPN senior Major League Baseball insider, also PR rep for split pea soup. Thanks, Jeff. We really appreciate your time.
Love you, buddy.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you allowing me to spread my food takes.
That was the Progressive MLB Snapshot, brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Protect the stuff you love with Renters Insurance. Visit them at progressive.com.
Oh,
split pea soup. Come on, man.
I gave him any player, any team, or his Syracuse football squad. Is that my mater? No, none of them.
He had a platform, and he felt it was important to use it. You know,
split pea.
Coming up next year,
Bowie, Passan, split pea soup sucks. There you go.
Back to to the NFL we go. Which stories do we buy and which ones are we selling on right here on ESPN Radio?
College Football Saturday on ESPN Radio.
This is the best.
Sixth-ranked Oregon travels to Happy Valley to face number 3 Penn State in the whiteout game.
We've played in good environments before. They've described it as a good one.
Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern with kickoff at 7:30 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app.
This college football moment is brought to you by Serve Pro.
College football teams have moments they recovered from and made it like it never even happened. Like on September 24th, 2016, when Tulsa found themselves down 31-0 to Fresno State with 10 minutes left in the second quarter. Tulsa fought back to tie the game at 41. And then won 48-41 in double overtime.
Serve Pro. Like it never even happened.
From kickoff to cash out, ESPN Bet has the tools you need to score more on game days. Bet smarter with stats at your fingertips. Get personalized parlays built just for you. And with your fantasy team synced right in the app, you can back your squad. Right now, new customers get $100 in bonus bets when you bet $10. Sign up with promo code USL to get started. Must be 21 plus. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details. Offer not available in New York.
Hey, this is Rich Eisen. Coming up Wednesday, Hall of Famer Kurt Warner, Syracuse head coach Fran Brown, Grammy Award winner Zach Brown in studio, plus NFL Power Rankings. That's the Rich Eisen Show on Disney+, plus the ESPN app, and ESPN Radio.
Hey, I'm Greg McElroy, former Alabama quarterback and host of Always College Football from Omaha Productions. 5 days a week, I'll be taking a deep dive into the world of college football with some of the biggest names on and off the field. And off seasons here are a thing of the past. Always College Football goes year-round with analysis, opinions, and insight from the top teams from coast to coast. Always College Football with Greg McElroy. Available where you get your podcast.
I mean, I feel like, Paul, you could play for our offensive line. You're 70 years old. You're a 70-year-old man, and you have more fight and fortitude than our offensive line.
Paul Feinbaum, weekdays at 3 Eastern on the ESPN app and the SEC Network.
I love sports. I just wish they could be with me always. They say you don't choose the app chooses you. It is everything I could ever want in a sports companion. It can stream the games and shows that I love, and it's there whenever I need it. I never thought I could find an app that loves sports as much as I do. Until now.
Download the ESPN app to stream ESPN Radio and all the ESPN networks now.
How are you? My name's Scott Van Pelt, host of SV Pod, along with my partner in crime, Stanford Steve. What do we talk about mostly on the podcast, Steve?
Sports.
Some.
Parenting?
I feel like that comes up a lot. I feel like most recently I've needed some help because I feel like my shortcomings there are evident. It's life stuff, relatable content.
It's fun.
It's just two bald-headed goons just talking about nonsense a lot. In a crowded podcast space, there's that one.
We're here.
Here we are.
Whatever your football love, the NFL, FBS, FCS, Grizz, Cat, and even area high school, we've got it covered. 102.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Passan mentioned it. We just had Jeff Passan on with us. If you missed anything here on Amber and Ian, check out the podcast on the new ESPN app. You heard him mention it, that David Fry in this Guardians game, he got hit with a pitch while squaring to bunt. And so we're waiting to hear, obviously, if David Fry is okay. It looked really, really bad. If we get any updates, we'll certainly pass them along. We also have been talking a lot, of course, about football tonight. There was big news out of the NFL and very big news out of college football as well. But let's do a little segment that they like to have fun with on Get Up. We're just going to rip the same sort of concept. They do a buy-sell type thing on Get Up, Ian. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to do a love it or leave it right here on Amber and Ian, NFL style. Let's hop to it.
Let's do
Stosh.
it. Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
You know, in Louisiana, you know what we call this? Come on with it.
Come on with it. Let's go.
Or leave it. Come on with it or leave it.
All right,
let's go. Here we go. Come on. Come on with it.
Love it or leave it. Jackson Dart winning at least 5 games for the Giants as their new starting quarterback. Ian.
I'm leaving it. Now, I like Jackson Dart a lot, and I love that front seven, especially that front on the defensive side. My gosh, they are nasty. But look at that schedule. Nope, leaving it. 5 games, no shot. Leaving it.